He's just angry working out? Is that it? I thought that was a Karl thing. I guess Karl got it from him.
It's a Karl and Chuck thing.
Well, I mean, Chuck's also diabetic, and that's part of his regimen for keeping that.
Also, stealing the bed from Karl.
Look, winners get sheets. I don't know what to tell you.
God, I wish I had beat Chuck.
God, are we being recorded now? Is it
I had the sheets last night.
Yeah, I
don't want to say anything incriminating.
I use this for Be Real.
Get it out of my system early.
Yeah, so you can be a real person.
Well, remember, Steve is a real person, but
I have seen him.
He is also everyone's favorite Tim Burton character.
Johnny Depp? Or Helen Bona Keller?
No, just imagine a Tim Burton character.
Yeah, just imagine me just looking forlorn, just like looking at the table, watching events unfold.
Do you bring your own top hat?
No, somewhat embarrassingly, I was like, God, Jesus, this is going to sound stupid. Back in college, I thankfully I never wore it in public, but I was like, fedoras aren't cool. I'm going to get a fucking pork pie hat. That's original. Well, yeah, that's stayed in its box in the closet where it belongs.
Thank God you did not pick a fedora.
One day you'll don it, and it will be glorious.
But the first thing you tell people is "m'lady."
No, because I was like, pork pies are kind of cool. Like it doesn't have the fedora like taint. And then I was also for a very brief period, I think I smoked a pipe, and all the times all the drunks would just be like, "Oh, nice pipe, idiot." And I'm just like, you know what? That was probably the nicest thing they could have said to me because it saved me from being that guy.
Thank goodness. Karl's let us know that he's 10 minutes away from out of the shower. Thank goodness we know about his shower habits.
He's messaging us from in the shower.
Yeah, you guys don't have shower beer?
No, he got out of the shower to text us and then got back into the shower. That's what I'm thinking of. He was already...
We need Steve to fart so hard he cracks his back into making noise, and that'll get him back out of the shower. As was proven at LVO.
That was true. I was shocked that he turned the shower off, and I'm just like, "You heard that?" He's like, "Are you okay, man?" And I'm like, "Not anymore. Now I'm really feeling self-conscious. I thought it was in the clear."
Oh my God, that might be one of my favorite stories to have come out in the last few years of my life. Not even gonna lie.
Weird shit, Karl.
Which maybe is an indictment of my life so far, but that's totally worth it.
With how much interesting shit's been happening in the last, since I always discredited the whole Mayan calendar thing, but shit's gotten weird since 2012. That's all I'm saying.
What are you talking about? It was when that Harambe died.
Harambe. That gorilla was holding everything together.
No, Harambe was like when the Chris Chan dimensional merger happened.
Oh my God. There's some Mayan tablet out there somewhere that depicts a fucking gorilla getting shot by something.
Sonic medallion.
It's just like on the walls or whatever, and it's just like a gorilla being like a kid.
Y'all just like, what does this mean?
There's also one of a Dorito-shaped man.
I guess.
Hello. Medal.
He's got 6 silver ones tailing him by the feet.
Yeah, he's got 6 fish gnomes by his feet, and then 1 golden fish gnome held aloft.
No, am I just crazy? I thought that Bryan, remind me if I'm just losing my mind, which I am, but
sure.
In this particular instance,
most certainly are.
I could have sworn at LVO that Giannis said that he could trade 5 fish gnomes for the gold. And now they're saying 6. I'm thinking they're just fucking with him.
No,
it's no inflation. I was going to say the economy's in shambles.
I think Karl's going to get 8 more goddamn fish gnomes. Stravos is going to be forced to write lore, and Leo is going to be forced to write rules. And
honestly,
Leo already has the rules written.
Yeah, this is just part of his 5-dimensional chess thing that he's doing with Stavros, where he's like,
"Do you not know about the fish gnome with the gun?"
No, I don't know about the fish gnome with the gun.
again, this is just so funny to me because, like, you know, I've talked to them a decent amount. I've seen them at a number of cons. I'd like to think I know them at least as decently well as people as you would see at cons. And when I shook Stavros' hand before I left, like on Sunday, he said, "Karl, just fucking win one, man."
To be told that by the creator of the game is there's a certain spice to it.
Well, it's kind of like when you guys were discussing all the nerfs that OD needs to get now, and I just kind of put my hand over my heart, and he just kind of like just patted me on the leg and was just like, "It's gonna be okay."
I think the best part about that is when we did that round table, one guy was like, "Resolve 5, Old Dominion." I'm like, "Oh God, it's real."
Almost as funny.
We all just pull out our phones and just start typing math.
I know.
Almost as funny as the guy who, like, he was leaving and he made a point to come up and say, "I think the Archimandrite supremacy is trash, and I moved it over to the Stratios right before this tournament." And I'm like,
what a fucking hero.
We talked. Ben was diplomatic about it.
What?
I was not.
What the fuck? What is happening?
Like, okay, you're wrong. Goodbye.
It's our own little slice of the Parabellum Discord, right at our beck and call.
It quite literally is. I can't wait till we all get that nice, like, bronze tag while Karl gets a silver one. And we just have our own little Parabellum chat in the Parabellum Discord.
What's the bronze tag?
I don't know. It's like yeah, like that or whatever.
Doing good enough. And then there's just Karl.
I would like a special color at this point.
Yeah, you
should.
need a silver one.
At this point, it might be easier just to give a special like name color for people that don't like make Leo want to pull his hair out.
Yeah.
Leo,
like, hello.
I
will not be polite about it, but I will give you usually the correct answer.
There's like 30 of you. I liked in your chat with Brad a few minutes ago where you're just like, "I'm correct."
Yeah,
that almost might be
call it.
That almost might be the Karl Death Horseman thing instead of Karl's okay.
I am correct.
It's a coin flip.
Okay, what was it? He said, oh yeah, he posted the list, which actually wasn't that bad. It just needed a couple changes. And then I was like, yeah, I dropped the Drum Beast for another Apex, and you have more points to move around. And he said, possible. Drum Beast didn't do much. And I said, I am correct. Also, your vets don't need upgrades.
No, they really don't. I'm glad you handled that instead of me, because I would have memed on him.
I mean, I kind of did meme on him. I told him how to fix it, and then when he said maybe, I said, yeah, I'm correct.
Yeah, but
no, I would have told him to just take all the dinosaurs out, you know?
I would have just posted the Nords chat meme.
I mean,
called it a day.
We need a Brad meme.
We do.
No, because once it happens, you know that he will post it so much, and then you'll be like, "What have I
unleashed upon the world?"
Yeah, that is also true.
I think the best part is when other people were starting to post the Nords chat meme. It's like, well, we're getting close, and I'm like, hey, it's spreading.
Cool. Now,
part
it was your fault.
Now.
Yeah, I think
the constant memification of the Conquest community has been something that I think we should all be proud of.
Yeah. Honestly, are we recording?
Oh,
are we recording yet?
Yes. This is
okay. So honestly, instead of keeping track of the changes in the meta, because I could because Rofi's like pulling lists to try to document meta changes, and I'm like, look, dude, I could just tell you that. What you need to document is like the development of Conquest memes.
It's true.
Yeah.
That is like so much more essential.
You know, it really all started with
video eventually.
It started with the Project 8 and the meme wars between the Dogs of War guy and
I was the one that called it meme wars. I am the forgotten.
Yeah, you didn't win.
I didn't.
Name? The Dogs of War guy, he won. He got one.
He just used just Wojak memes and meme generator. Come on, man.
I actually have one of his memes that I really like. The one about my turtle, my king, my alien princess,
I'm
8 sorcerer kings.
Now, granted, I'm in no position to judge, considering that I just use those fucking like ye olde tapestry meme generators. So pot calling the kettle black and all that, but. Still, I miss the days when people actually would like whip out like MS Paint, like do stuff instead of just being like, "Here's my sword, Jack."
Bird.
Sometimes I put work into the BonkTable memes. Sometimes I don't, and you can tell
What
when
if
I
it-
don't.
What if
I
I
need to
made a
go-
Conquest Rage comic about Nord's chat?
I need to go back
Oh.
and edit the or finish editing the Four Horsemen meme because that one has potential.
I
Fucking MS
Didn't I
Paint
use
Bird.
it?
Like, I'm still trying to decide if that's more like Dada or Picasso.
You're welcome.
Mix it
Bro.
up.
That's
too,
Picasso, my man.
Carl,
That's pure.
just the
Dada,
inherent,
that's
like-
so postmodern.
Brian, that is my
Yeah.
gift to you and Jeff.
Oh my
I-
god! Like, just the deconstruction of the idea is the most Dada thing I could think of. Is the problem?
this is the worst part. I'm going through the Adepticon video because I'm pretty sure I used the Four Horsemen of Karl meme at the end.
No one cares about
Oh.
that. We know how that went. This is the meme.
Yeah.
episode, you know?
It is.
I,
it's at the 50
yeah.
minute mark. There's the Four Horsemen of Karl.
Well, it's interesting. So I watched like I was saying, I watched the Vol SC video on Adepticon, and I actually really liked his takes about the lists, especially mine, except the part where he said that loose formation is just an afterthought of that force-grown drone block.
Really?
And it's
Oh
like,
my god!
when I typed that in, I could like feel the disturbance in the force after I tagged Bryan.
That shit gave me hemorrhoids. That was just so fucking terrible, man. Are you kidding me? I've been dealing with that fucking bullshit block for like months now, like half a year. Oh, it's
Like,
an
literally,
afterthought.
it's a middle finger to Dweg as an army. Like,
It's
what if I
literally-
just didn't take damage from magic? Or
It's been
range?
pulling that fucking faction's win rate into me for the past 6 months.
Hey,
But it's an
better-
afterthought.
Better you than me. Like, I remember the fucking VCI spam that Carl and I played all the
Oh
fucking
my
time.
god.
Yeah, but
we
I
didn't-
fought that shit.
I'm glad
I
I
know.
skipped that. We didn't get local VCI players until after the nerf, and it was like, this is awful, and this used to be worse.
I
prior
didn't
to
get a
Adept,
fucking game.
but prior to
Months.
Adepticon 2023, Carl, it was like a month beforehand or something. Carl just like messaged our like store's Discord page and was just like, "So I need some more data outside of my local store. Is anyone play Conquest down there willing to play me?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." And he played Brad, and Brad got once he realized what was happening with the VCI, he like didn't want to like attack Carl. He was just stay on his like border of the board that Carl hadn't invaded yet, and Carl just was like pushing his VCI and just murdering everything. And I was watching this happen, and then he comes up to me afterwards and he goes, "So I need you to build the meanest Old Dominion list you can think of." And I'm just like, not mean enough.
I
And then
remember.
I get,
I remember
And
playing.
that's still when Blessed worked on shooting.
Oh yeah.
yeah, and then I got you round 2 in Adepticon, and you're just like, "So Steve, I got more hits on your Fallen Divinity than I rolled dice. I'm
Steve.
really sorry about this."
Steve, I got him round 1 that same year.
You drove 4 hours for that? Oh, no, it's only 2.5 for you. That's right. But still, you drove for that.
Yeah, we memed about it for a little while, and then Carl was just like, "Oh, hey, look, Matt, time to fucking kill you again."
Carl, are you just a menace to everyone? Is that it? Is that what's going on here?
Look, okay,
Oh, it's-
so
Well, everyone except
Matt
that,
can verify that I'm not anymore, but at that point I was in fact a youngin', and it was my first con, and I was very nervous. And there's a large possibility that if I hadn't played someone that I was like comfortable with for my first game at a con, I might have just flubbed.
Okay, that's very
It's
fair.
So that was the one shot that anyone had.
I'm
Yeah,
really
like
glad-
if I'd played
I-
Bryan round 1, I would have lost, like hands down.
I mean, like,
I'm
I'm not even sure we could say that, though. Like, first of all, Matt, thank you for being Carl's stepping stone, apparently.
I know, right?
So we're
Like
learning here.
four Apexes was worth it. Okay,
Yeah.
I got a lot of people in the game that year.
Yeah, but my game one at Acon last year, because it's the same thing. Like, that was my first big tournament as well. And my game one, like, was fucking Mantle Slingers. I forget the guy's name. He was a really nice guy, but, like, turn 2, he, like, just walked forward and just sniped my Hellbringer off the field. And I went, oh, fuck. I really don't know shit. But then, Dwake 2.0 did Dwake 2.0 things to the guy, and that was that.
Was
Well,
it Defense 5 and a million shit tickets?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was like the Defense 7 hold Thanes.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
Bastion +2. Fucking Harden 1. It's just so gross.
That's right. Mass is Mr. Google gonna like demonetize your YouTube uploads because we're being potty mouths?
No, not at all.
Alright, cool.
No.
You guys gotta understand something. This is called a hobby, and I don't make any money off of any of this.
Alright, let it rip.
I am
Maybe
costing.
we can swear enough that it does get monetized. If we can.
I'm really glad to hear that, Mass, because I'm playing Elden Ring as we speak right now. So
Oh, I know,
if you
yeah.
hear me scream about something, then
No, I'm
I
not.
am
Steve
jumping
over here.
between World of Warships ranked and building a high or a lineage highborn because I am commissioning someone to take care of my legacies of the Ark that I'm afraid to touch.
fantastic.
What do you have, Carl?
World of Warships,
And
right?
that person is in fact in this chat. So
So who's painting the Legacies of the Ark mini? Which one of you guys?
The guy with the hemorrhoids. No, I'm joking.
Oh,
You bring the humor back. That's how that works.
did you get the hemorrhoids from the Legacy of the Ark, or was it there before?
No, I got it from the energy of Vol saying that loose formation was the afterthought. Just that because my butt clenched so hard upon hearing that.
Let's not talk about butts and spires, okay? I could go on a rant
Oh my god.
about like all the different things that they could be doing.
Counterpoint, let's.
Oh boy!
I'm aching
Hey.
to talk about cloacas.
Like, do you guys remember the time that Sovereign got a hold of dragon skin in like dragon biomass?
Oh God.
Jesus.
Can you imagine? He could have literal, real bad dragons just on every
No.
single one of his avatara.
They don't
I-
already?
Like we all meme on that guy in the Spires chat talking about that shit.
He's
He's not wrong.
Like the
he chose the
Spires
wrong
shit
forum.
guy.
it's just he's still not welcome there.
We just
No,
don't. We just don't put it out. We just don't put it out in public. We go on Mass's podcast and poison it.
You,
That's
you
what
know what?
happens.
This is gonna be available. I hope all the listeners listen to all this shit talking.
And
Oh,
like,
We're just saying what everyone's thinking.
I don't edit.
yeah, it just
People know
it just
that.
comes out. It's like there's so many possibilities. The potential is infinite.
It's so fucking cute that you people think you're going to be the ones who poison this well when I'm here.
Cass is. There have been like.
With disgusting
Yes, we need-
horniness.
Look, I can.
Well's already. I'm just adding my own special brand, okay?
Okay, you know what? Here.
Yeah, Spires dragons.
There.
Who wouldn't want to?
No photos. It has to be audio only.
No,
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, for the record, would.
Yeah, see, I got some fucking memes. Yeah, the Dungeon Delicious anime. The main
Yeah, I
character,
watched
what's his
it.
face? Just him going wood over and over.
There's some great camera angles of that dwarf though.
That dude is great.
He is great. And they're always getting like panty shots of the dwarf. I'm like, God damn it.
My axe is a piece of shit, and my fucking pan is made of adamantium. I'll beat you over the fucking head.
Cooking that later.
Where's this?
Alright.
Where's this shot, Steve?
Kind of dwarf.
Well, then I saw another one, and I'm like, I don't know if I can post that one in the BonkTable.
All right. I'm gonna...
Before we get truly started here, I would like to say that my wife/girlfriend/partner lady says hi to everyone, and she enjoyed meeting you all.
Hi. Tell her
Hi.
I have a great photo of her just kind of like
I think-
staring at whatever the fuck is going on in our game.
Oh,
I think
yeah,
we're all
I've saw that.
shocked.
Is it
I
the
think
one
we're
with-
all shocked that it was a pleasant experience for her to meet us, but it was certainly reciprocated.
Oh, yeah, I tell her about your guys' shenanigans more often than not, and
I mean, I
None
think
of it
we're
was
all pretty well
terribly surprising.
behaved.
yeah,
We weren't all feral. That's all
Yeah.
right.
We were
nobody talked about Spires buttholes unnecessarily. It was pretty above board.
Yeah, there you go.
acted with
We
respect.
got the buttholes and the belly buttons in the same place.
I'm telling you, hands pulling it open.
Okay,
I got stabbed by this Crucible Knight as I said that, and that's the first time I felt like I deserved the death in this game. I just want to point that out.
All right. Welcome to
Even better.
BonkTable, everybody. I have Bryan, Karl, Mathew, and Steve, as well as my wonderful co-host Cassandra. we're going to be talking about these four gentlemen's wonderful time at Adepticon. If you're wondering about my personal time, I already threw out a video, so you can go watch that. And yeah, so rule of the week. Karl, you're up.
All right. Well, the rule of the week is tenacious,
You want to read
and
it for us?
I will. Yeah, I'm exiting out of my game to pull it up.
You don't know
Fucking
it.
casual.
We
We
just
need to read the
Just
actual
showing
rule.
them
Like,
how
we
the
all know what it
sausage
fucking
gets
does.
made.
No, you need to read it. I don't know
Well,
what
no,
the...
some people didn't because this came up in City States chat a couple days ago,
See,
which
perfect.
is kind of
You
why I'm
gotta
saying
read
it. No,
Right off the
Snake is playing
PDF.
City States.
whenever this regiment makes a defense roll, treat one failed die roll as a success. Character stands do not benefit from the special rule during duels unless they have the special rule.
Okay, why is it good?
You get to... It's free removal of hits, and the big thing, so we've acknowledged, like, everyone who has played against Dwegom, because nobody's ever played Ardent Creed ever, knows that Tempered Creed is very good for its ability to deny hits. That's a good ability, and that denies hits before you roll. The crazy thing about Tenacious is denial of hits after you roll, which is just statistically better than pulling hits beforehand. Especially because if you have an ability like Deadly Blades that is forcing you to take additional damage, the dice that you remove can be a 6, and in that case you're using Tenacious to deny 2 points of damage. It also functionally turns off a regiment's susceptibility to chip damage. The Force-Grown Drone block with Loose Formation that we'll talk about, you throw Tenacious on that thing, and it just will not take damage from spells or shooting. You'll take about a wound per volley, and then heal it all back with regen.
Jesus. One of the other things I like about Tenacious, because it's removing a failed defense roll, you're also not having to roll resolve on that as well, so you're also saving yourself a potential resolve damage in melee.
What's that?
Oh yes, that's right, you play with Dominion.
Exactly.
Tenacious on Velx is disgusting.
Yeah, Tenacious it is definitely one of the best rules in the game. I don't know if I would say that it is underappreciated,
I think it's
but
it's
I think
underappreciated value, but also unappreciated design space too, which is why it's one of the best rules.
it definitely slips under a lot of people's radars. And then, so the things that can, like, Ferromancer's ability to apply it to anything in the Spire's roster is just crazy. Woodrune picking up Tenacious, Dwegom being able to pick up Tenacious, City States, it's just gross all around. And consistent removal of damage is a very strong ability.
I remember Tenacious Hold Warriors. That was
that was
time. Like,
that
it's
was
just not as
something.
widespread anymore to that point. Like,
Honestly,
probably wasn't on the radar.
I liked Tenacious being printed on regiment stat block wise, and I think it is so. Like, if we'll talk about the other game for a second. So, like, toughness is fundamentally unbalanced and not good for competitive play, because your basic infantry just cannot damage monsters in the other game. But Tenacious is a very
you can, like, name it. It's not like you're not going to summon it by not saying that.
Yeah, Karl,
What, the old world?
I'm not affiliated with Parabellum at all. You can talk about other games on BonkTable.
I still call it the other game.
Yeah, we don't die.
If you say its name 3 times in a
Not
mirror
because-
in a dark bathroom, it comes and takes you to hell.
Who's the guy
Oh
who
my
wrote 7th edition Demons?
Matt,
Was that
Phil
Ward?
Kelly? That was either Phil. What 7th edition Demons? Was that in Fantasy or 40K?
fantasy.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't take you to hell if you say its name 3 times in like the bathroom with the lights out. It takes your wallet.
Yeah, Matt Ward. Matt Ward
Yeah,
will
that-
personally come out of the mirror to drag
It
you
takes
to
you into about
7th edition
5
Demons.
debt.
Just as like an aside, that poor man. We all know he's not as shit as he actually is. He's being forced to write this.
Well, he
has
hasn't
to
worked
be.
for them for years. He's actually an author now.
He's still trapped.
You know what he's written?
Which poor man?
Matt Ward.
The British
Oh.
author.
I think every community kind of just latches onto a figure
We all know
who is writing the roles. Who, yeah,
He's written
they latch onto a figure to kind of just hate on.
Frostgrave.
Did he?
Yeah, he's written some Frostgrave novels.
That's pretty
But either
good.
way, yeah, I think Tenacious is a very good substitute for Toughness because it can represent like it's not necessarily better than Extra Wounds, but it's different than just shoving extra wounds on a unit, and it's different from increasing defense or like Hardened or something like that. And I think it's a kind of an untapped design space. Like I think Warbred could definitely benefit from, like, maybe instead of the 6th wound, they could have gotten Tenacious or something like that. But then you have the other way, where, like, Cold Warriors traded Tenacious for an extra wound per stand.
Yeah.
So that's actually a really good point if you're thinking about like just damage gates and how much that you have to get through to get damage through. That's a pseudo toughness that makes sense in Conquest World. Yeah.
That is pretty interesting. I also like with Tenacious, like it's for every instance of failing a defense roll. So like against a volley, against magic, against a clash, impacts, you get a lot of use out of it. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the more damage you are taking, so that's like, again, we'll pull up the game that, well, I mean, we'll talk about the Bryan and I game, but it's like, okay, so I'm taking damage from like 3 different volleys, a clash, and 2 different spells every turn. So that's like 5 or 6 wounds that I'm just turning off a turn. And that's just so much value from one rule.
It really does add up after a while.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Especially because if you spike a roll in the bad way, Tenacious evens you out and can get you close to average. And if you spike a roll in a good way and you have Tenacious, you just don't take damage.
Yeah. Tenacious on Valks again with that blast roll, like there's so many. I think Mass has experienced it firsthand. And our other counterpart who went to, or our friend who went to Adepticon with him, Messer, I'm just saying is the short form of his Discord name for some reason, but yeah, where it's like 2 wounds get through and then I Tenacious one off, and it's like I sit there looking like a smug fucking see you next Tuesday. And,
bitch. I'll say it because God, there have been times where I'm like, son of a bitch, you fucking no damage, eh?
Yeah,
I'll say I really enjoy that too now because I've been running the Fanatic War Brave unit with the Beads of Death. I get that a lot. It's wonderful. It's just a good feeling to watch the light leave someone's eyes when they throw like 30 attacks.
You've
into
got
block.
you've got the Tenacious Indomitable set up in that too. Like you're
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's even worse.
and you used to be able to do that when you could take retinues with the Valks too, and that was like
It was rude.
they could throw anything into you and do 2 net wounds, and that was a great feeling.
Yeah, Volva activates, heals Velks, and you're like, wow, I'm gonna be here for the next 3 days. Cool.
Yeah.
Praetorian guard block. Get when supremacy roll when you're at tier 3. Just like, cool. I'm fine. Just get spread out extra fat on my chair. Just live. Life is good. Nothing's gonna happen. Just have fun rolling dice.
When Steve and I had our OD mirror match, my Praetorians didn't have Tenacious or Untouchable because Untouchable was on my Fallen Divinity, and it showed his Praetorian block just kind of obliterated mine. And just because it had reroll 6s and Tenacious, and that alone made it was such a significant difference in the output and like the damage that his unit took versus mine that mine just kind of crumpled.
Did you also like double Bastion to like defense 5?
He did. I couldn't because I was playing Fallen Divinity.
Okay, yes, that would do it.
That didn't help. Although it was the correct choice because in that game at least, you played that Fallen Divinity up a little further than I was expecting you to, and I just threw everything I had into it, and I think I got it within like 3 or 4 wounds of dying at tier 1. So
And then she just healed back and killed everything. And
once you hit tier 2, it's like, well, opportunity's gone. Now it's just going to be a miserable, mutual assured destruction scenario.
That was actually a really fun game to watch. I really thought Steve had it, but
Karl was able to win that initiative roll where he got his Cannonforge through my thing of Legionnaires that would have tied up half his army, and at that point it's like, well,
yeah, I won initiative without advantage, and then made a 5-inch charge without a reroll.
SCP-002 is escaped containment.
Honestly, I was so nonchalant about the game because I wasn't playing my main faction. I think I tapped into the Chuck power. I'm gonna be honest.
Maybe that's
You
why
still have
Chuck
your
keeps
hair,
winning.
though. So
And you used my own model against me. That was the real.
Oh yeah, because I didn't own any Old Dominions, so Steve and Chuck funded my army. So half
You
of
know
my
what?
stuff was Steve's.
Chuck was doing that too a lot. He was borrowing other people's models and just winning, beating the
Is that-
fuck out of them with it.
For your Worlds event at Far Harbor, he's asked me to borrow a bunch of Thyrians, and I'm fucking scared.
Yeah, don't let him. Don't let him. CS can't win.
No, I'm going to fucking charge 5 bone golem, charge 5 bone golems with AOD4 into his fucking Thyrian MSU. It's going to take two wounds from like 20 AOD, and then he's just going to wipe the unit. And by wiping them, I'm going to lose 2.5 golems, like from a single turn. And then he's just going to make that face.
Friendly reminder: the Tharians have a save of 2 and under, and Steve is probably talking entirely truthfully here. That's what Chuck is going to do to him.
Yes, the
We
Chuck,
did a
like,
test.
and again, this is part of the cut content, but
No,
we
it isn't.
don't
It's going
diminish. We're not diminish. No, I'm saying what happened before
Oh, yeah, him being
we're
a
not
wizard.
diminishing Chuck's gameplay abilities when we say that the Chuck dice are a thing. He's a wizard. He's also one of the best War Machine players in the world, and is one of 2 active Infernals, and has been a very good player since Mark 1, and he positions better than almost anyone that I've ever played into, and then his dice are just slightly better, and you just kind of lose.
He will
All
fucking.
right, I need to dispute one thing. You said he's a wizard. No, he's a trickster, god, fade, demon creature. Okay, not a wizard.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
do we
Look,
like seal him in the bed? Do we sacrifice Carl? Like, here, take
Look,
this and stay in the bed.
Matt, one correction: Chuck's whatever he says he is and wants to be. I'm not going to be in a position. I'm going to tell him no, because that's not going to go well.
Exactly.
I keep trying to tell him no, and I keep getting corrected by the universe.
Truly, he is one of the best people that I've ever met, though. Especially one of the best people that I've met doing wargaming. And he definitely, I'm happy that he won with Nords.
Yeah, it's
Especially
hard to feel bad
since
for Chuck to win.
the universe seemed to balance itself out to hold myself in a second, as the listeners will eventually find out.
Yeah.
I'm happy that he won with Nord so that people finally have to shut the fuck up about how bad they are.
Yeah.
That's why Nords are
Yeah.
going to get a bunch of nerfs coming up.
God,
No.
that just
George is
I
kind of falling
could've-
apart in the wake of that victory.
That's me clickbaiting up this podcast, by the way.
I like how 50% of this podcast so far has been personal anecdotes that the listeners are not privy to.
I was gonna say,
I mean,
this is an
that's-
ACON podcast, and we're talking about like some fucking game in a local tournament.
You know what, though? Weirdly enough, this seems to put asses in the seats, so...
I don't know what it is. People are like,
I
I
don't
like
think-
how down to earth and like normal you guys are. It's like, yeah.
It's cool. It's really cool how loose and unprofessional you two are.
What do you expect? A bunch of fucking big brain idiots from Star Trek just sitting around talking about shit? Like, come on.
So the point being, this is free content. We don't want to hear any complaints.
Yeah, exactly.
Go make your own stupid podcast.
You want to hear professionalism? Go somewhere else. Oh.
You know what? Sure, fuck it. People know what BonkTable's about at this point. I named it after like a sex table from England.
Is that what that's from?
Yeah, so like bonking in from Britain is sex, and I had a English man when I went to Calgary. He was like, "Why'd you call it BonkTable?" I'm like, "Oh, joked about it." And he's like, "Dude, that means sex table from where I'm from." And I'm like, "Oh, all right, well, fuck it. I guess I'm rolling."
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
that's
fitting
fair.
because
Yeah.
it's
Lost in
marketing.
translation.
How long have we been talking about not the rule of the week?
I don't know, probably like 10 minutes.
It was a short
That's
rule,
fair.
Carl, where it came and went.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's a wonderful
Well, and
rule.
then we'll get reverse tenacious, and that can be the next video or something, and I can get credited for that or something.
Do you want to just talk about
Um,
reverse tenacious right now?
No,
so you can
I
get
don't.
credit?
No,
It's not
let
the
him,
rule
let him
of the
talk
week.
about it.
Yeah,
Let him talk about it. I can hear the excitement in his voice. He's like, I don't want to talk about
so
this. While I
first
keep
off,
bringing it up.
it's April 1st as we're recording, so if you want to spew nonsense, you're totally allowed to. You're legally allowed to.
Yeah, so, Brittle is
There we
probably coming into the game, and it is just reverse tenacious, and it's just a design space that I will be really happy to see explored, because it will let units that. So what I'm hoping it'll do is it'll let units that maybe have 3 wounds, or have fewer wounds than maybe they should, or gain an extra wound and then pick up brittle, so they'll be taking an extra hit. Per attack when they're swung into. We don't exactly know if it's going to be ranged only or melee only or both. That's just came out of the Adepticon roundtable, but I do think it is a very good design space, and I'm excited to see what Leo decides to do with it.
So
it's a really nice expansion of the toughness design space, and I really hope it's melee only. Because poor
yes,
OD.
I hope it does. I think it is with how good OD is. I think at the moment, it would be a good counter implemented in some ways, so that they're a little bit less. How should I say?
Durable.
Yeah, because currently the best way to deal with them is to just hose them with shots, and that does still contribute to, like, you always need a couple ranged units, especially if you're dealing with Old Dominion, which puts certain factions like city-states at an inherent disadvantage until chariots are out.
Those chariots are really fucking good, by the way.
Yeah, those chariots are gonna be really nice. I think they're what city-states needs.
Buy 6. Telling you that right now. Buy 6 chariots.
Alright, well, you will want 3, and then if you're crazy, you can get a 6th.
Do what I'm gonna do and make an all-horse chariot list.
Get a 4th and a 5th, but get a 6th.
I showed Carl a list like that, and he just went, "That is a list you could play."
That's what I wanted to do because I like how those horses look.
Said in that tone of voice.
I think that 6 is where you start getting into diminishing returns. But I think 3 is going to be perfect, and like you can play more than that, and it will probably be good. But it'll kind of run into the whole thing that 100K did, where there's only a certain amount of light shooting that you can, or shooting that you can cram in before it just kind of starts getting a little bit redundant. At that point, you're sacrificing about over a third of your list to very fragile shooting.
Go ahead, Matthew.
All right, I keep jumping in, but
that's okay.
Just let them live out their Colosseum race days, okay, man? They've got them in the back of their head via the mind sphere memory link with their ancient Roman ancestors. Just let them do it. Yeah, Greek, Roman, whichever one. That's gonna piss some people off, but I don't care. Just let them run in circles with their chariots.
Yeah, and you know what? It'll be fine.
So, for 100K shooting, it's 4 regiments of Merc crossbows. That's your peak. That's your curve. 2, I built a list where you could shove in like 11 chariots. 3, Carl, you gonna talk about your handshake or what?
Nah, I'll keep that one close to the chest.
It's a special handshake.
I had my awkward handshake with Giannis, where he went to fist bump me. I went to shake his hand, and then like 3 or 4 times we kept alternating, trying to course correct, and finally it's just all right, we're just gonna.
It's not as bad as nice to meet you. It's not as bad as nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you is incredible.
Where Ben has met Giannis multiple times. And we get to LVO, and Giannis gives Jeff and I a hug, and then he says to Ben, "Oh, nice to meet you," after introducing himself to Ben, who he has met multiple times at this point.
Not just met, but handed him Fishman trophies.
Yes.
Just to meet you, man.
He has a really forgettable face, okay?
That's how you start a vendetta.
Him and I chatted for an hour and a half after we finished our game, and I was like, alright, guess we're hanging out. Okay, so guys, I'm gonna pick Steve because I didn't really get to watch any of his games or know anything he was really doing with Old Dominion. Most of the time I would look over at Steve and he was fighting for his life playing Old Dominion. So Steve, tell me about your list. What'd you play at Adepticon?
Alright, I played Old Dominion, 1,995 points, because I don't have anything I can fit in that extra 5 points with. Warlord, Archimandrite, 2 regiments of minimum standard unit Legionnaires with banners, because they're free. 2 5 blocks of Bone Golems, because I hate other people having fun. Stratios, in another warband, kitted out with the AOD +2 banner. That includes his stand as well as the rest of the regiment. Aventine Armor, which gives Tenacious, which we just talked about. And Eternal Discipline, which gives Unyielding, so those nice reroll 6s. He is sitting in a 6 block of Praetorian Guard with AOD +2 from the Profane Reliquary. And he also just has a bare MSU of Legionnaires, just to dick around with. And then an Ira Deacon, sitting in a MSU of Legionnaires, and MSU of Canaphores. And when I'm kind of workshopping some stuff with Karl, he had, because originally I ran this with just other shit in it, and he was like, you really should try to like drop a bunch of the superfluous shit that you have in there and just add in the Ira Deacon so you can get those Canaphores, because that way you can get an extra heavy to fish for, you auto-win Bone Golems on turn 3, and then using the Blasphemous Soma, modifying your prophecy rolls, or your reinforcement rolls,
Yeah, like with Soma, with the 2 heavies that you're rolling for, you're statistically likely to get, it's like a 75% chance to get both of them in on turn 3, and that's fucking huge.
Well, speaking of which, I think it was 3 or 4 of my games, I didn't get any heavies in on turn 3 except for the 1 Bone Golem that I autoed in. So that was exciting. I'm glad I brought them. It worked fairly well overall. That's why I digress. Okay, where do I go from here?
I would love nothing more than to be able to like flash the Chuck laughing meme across your guys' screens right now, kind of like a Twitch chat thing.
Don't let that stop you. It's our special treat. The listeners can just imagine what it must be like.
Yeah.
Or they can join BonkTable and bear witness to the meme as it's an emoji now.
Exactly. And there's a Karl emoji and a Steve emoji, and we got really unhinged at Adepticon.
Well, it's just dinner.
I think it was pretty normal, to be honest.
Join now and collect all our face emojis, I guess.
Our face emojis.
Collect our faces, guys.
Be sure to use them on other servers with your turbo.
Yeah.
It's the only reason why I want Turbo or Nitro, whatever it is.
Didn't Dido port one of them over to the Conquest General server?
Okay, Mass, help me help you, save us from this conversation. Where do I go from here?
You tell me what your list was designed to do, and then you tell me what you wanted to live to the very end, and then you tell me what the thing you wanted to die first is.
Alright, so the idea with this list is, whereas Chuck has incredibly good luck when it comes to rolling dice, I have incredibly bad luck. It doesn't matter what side of dice I touch, it's pretty grim, so I just went, rolling dice is for chumps, much like rolling resolve is for chumps. So, AOD, everywhere, early and often. Basically, start with the Stratios, bring in Praetorian Guard on turn 1, because why wouldn't you? Thanks to that from the front ability. Kind of get them marching towards whatever objective I really want to make sure stays mine for the rest of the game, because trying to shift 6 bricks of Praetorian Guard with Archimandrite healing, supporting them, and all that, it's a miserable experience trying to shoot through that. Turn 2, auto in the Ira Deacon so that, she can start generating pre-tokens and kind of get that ramping. Roll for my Legionnaires and just kind of send them, where I think that they can either run interference, screen things, and occasionally if I have enough coming in, I'll kind of chuck one on the far side of the table just to kind of bother an objective and make people divert, their resources to go deal with that. Archimandrite turn 2 if I can get him in. Turn 3 auto and golems, roll for the 2 heavies for the other golems and the Canaphores. Obviously the bone golems are probably a little more important than the Canaphores in my opinion, just to get them ready to march charge if need be next turn, and then just apply them where I think they're going to do the most work and go from there.
Nice. So what is the thing in the list you want to live until the very end of the game? What's the last thing you want to die?
Ideally the Praetorian Guard.
Because they're scoring a zone the entirety of the game?
They're scoring what I would anticipate is like the most important zone. So like for is breakthrough or breakout, where you have the 2 objectives in the middle on the center zone and the 2 without.
That's breakout, yeah.
Yeah, breakout. Just cool. Park them there. If I can start chipping away at that, and then also kind of push my opponent out of the zone or keep them from getting more stands in, it's like cool. That's a huge boon to me, because in the middle of the game when it's scoring 2 extra or whatever it is, it's like cool. Have fun trying to shift that.
Yeah, that I did have to chew through one of those blocks, and it took me a while, and I was like, Wow, Defense 5. Fuck me.
Yeah, it's not fun. It's like Old Dominion's version of the Ashen Dawn.
Yeah, I did it eventually, but it was like, holy crap, this took a while. Then my next question is, what is the thing you want to die first?
One of the Legionnaires that doesn't have a character in it.
Okay, that's actually really, yeah, that's a very, like, Old Dominion response.
I mean, it's gonna happen, because if I send one over to just go bother like a far objective, it's like, well, they count as, once they're on the objective, subsequent turns, they can just, keep casting Memory of Old as an action or a draw or whatever. It's cool, they count as 5 stands. You're gonna have to send, a decent amount in there to get rid of them, because another MSU will probably take 2 turns of, clashing into them to actually get rid of them. And the number of times where I've had people just have 3 stands come at me, or fit 3 stands onto the zone, and they kill 2 of the stands, and I just go, cool, I rally, I'm Memory of Old, have fun with that. And they're like, what do you mean? It's like, well, you have 3 stands, and now I have 3 stands, so just have fun, no one's getting that zone. Aren't you glad you sent all this over here?
Really am. Alright. Well, thank you for sharing your list. Mathew, or Kang,
Yep, that's me. All right.
tell
So,
us about your list.
yes, my list, my 7th place list is, first of all, I have 2 warbands. One is the Matriarch Queen, who is the warlord. She brought with her, she's war for the cult. She brought the Beads of Death, Teaching of Conquest Stoic, and the Loyalty Mastery. She brought a Blooded MSU, no tracker for this one, 7 Block Braves, and then 2 Apex Predators.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Oh yeah.
in the second warband, I brought a Predator with the warband Cult of Death. He has the Mantle of Devoted. His Teachings of Conquest are Voice of Conquest and Stoic. He brought Way of the Hunt, Ceaseless Hunt, and brought the Marksmanship Mastery. He brought a Hunter MSU with, what was it, the Flint Napper. Those Reroll 6s are great. A Blooded unit with a tracker here, and then 4 stands of Slingers with a Flint Napper, and then a Tauntor. So,
Damn. You had 3 dinos instead of 4 from last year.
yes. The Tauntor was a concession. It was like, I need to bring this big model. I need to show it off. And I got to. I was pretty much on the end of the tables almost every time.
Yeah. Also, that thing's fully painted, so it looks sweet.
It is actually not fully painted.
What?
Don't inflate his ego. Mathew is a very good painter.
Yeah, it is not. Several of the bits, like the ropes aren't done. The tusks are just not done. There's no metallics done yet. It's a very, I can send you a picture of it. It's a very quick paint job mostly. I think the most I spent on it was actually the underside of the skin.
Did you get 3 colors minimum on it?
Oh yes, 3 colors minimum.
I think. Weren't you the one who was messaging me about, like, you'll never take the bribe with the 3 color minimum when I'm using 13 colors on Ashen Dawn?
Yep, I'm like, Mass can't shame me for 3 color minimum when I beat his ass.
We never played, though.
I know, we didn't. I'm kind of sad.
Yeah, I was hoping to play
But we
more of
can
you
just
guys.
consider Matthew's performance into Ashen Dawn lists as an example of how the game with Mass would have gone.
I'm excited to know.
Generally, it's pretty good. But like, what do I do with this list? Okay, so the general intelligence and God, I keep forgetting words. The general intelligence and advice we give is a lot. Always bring Tracker Blooded because you need them in all the time for tokens and everything. I took a bet, taking Tracker off of one of them, put Loyalty on. So I can get all my stuff on fast, get everything in, I get my big dinos in, and I just eat people's face. And I did that.
Nice. What is the thing you want to last until the end of the game?
The actual answer is probably like the Tauntor. The funny answer is the Slingers, because if they survive the entire game, it means I styled on somebody.
Yeah, you probably did.
Legit.
That is not, and that's not to say my opponents weren't great. If my Slingers were at the end of the game, it's just funny to me, okay? Because they're a big threat.
Yeah, like if you don't deal with the Slingers in that list, they'll pick up an MSU every turn, or Borderline.
My round 4 opponent was playing with Rune, and I got The one side of the slingers was being threatened by one mounted squire, and the other side of the slingers was being eaten upon by Ashen Dawn.
Yep, that's exactly how you deal with them.
And
with prejudice.
They don't do well into Ashen Dawn, is what I've learned.
Nope.
Few things do.
What is the thing you want to... What are you okay with losing first in your game?
Hunters. They are a wonderful screen. They're good bait. And if they don't die from the charge, they'll fight back. And generally, like, sometimes they'll surprise me with how good they are in melee.
Yeah.
Other times they'll just do some shots and do a good amount of wounds. I think we'll probably talk about it later if we talk about games, but the highlight of game 2 was when they beat a Siegebreaker in melee.
Oh damn. Were you no, I don't think you played.
This surprises no one who's played a Siegebreaker.
Jesus.
Yeah, there's more context to that, but I thought it was quite cute that they killed it.
Got hands.
Got hands. All right, thank you. Brian, tell us about your list. What were you playing?
I'm picturing hunters with like the shrimp cage catcher things.
Yeah.
Bring it into that. Anyway,
Gotta have the right mouse tool.
right.
Bring a giant shrimp cage. Get in there.
Because I am now, for some reason, obsessed with naming my lists after MF Doom lyrics, I brought Properly Provoked. It is kind of doubles all over the place. So it's a double Magma Drake makes a return here from LVO because it's still fucking ridiculously good. But now we're supplementing it with the recent change to the Karaweg letting light units score. And the Karaweg generates tokens along with that. So I've got 2 Karawegs, each in a block of 5 Berserkers. One of them's souped up with a Memory of Breath for AOD 3 on them instead of AOD 2. And Tenacious as well. We all know how good Tenacious is now, because we talked about it at length. What else did I have to bring? Oh yeah, the Ballast Day. I got even Ballast Day in there with the Herald of Magma to better arc off the Magma spells. And a couple units of good old Fireforge. So the game plan on the list is pretty simple. It's probably the most skewed Dweg bullshit list you can run right now, in my opinion, because it kind of just throws 1,500 points of Dweg nonsense and a tight castle up the board at the end of turn 2. It's already looking at you on the other side of the field. So it plays really tightly and brings a lot of power to bear. The thing I want to dive first in that list is, once again, the Ballast Day. The Ballast Day are there to kind of just get in the way, get into a screen, run them forward onto a terrain piece if I can, to either catch the opponent's forward aggression with the Magma spells arcing off the terrain piece, or just to deter it in the first place. The thing I want to die last is probably the Drakes, given that, it's definitely the Drakes, honestly, but given that one of them is my Warlord, and, my entire supremacy is based on that. But they're also, the best units I have for scoring in the list, especially at the end of the game when turning around and maneuvering and chasing onto objectives becomes particularly important. So, pretty straightforward game plan and list.
Yeah, no, it's I've been playing it recently, so I'm quite enjoying it, as well as getting my ass beat by it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. There's a lot of mean things it can do. Like we'll get into it when we talk about the games, actually. But the side reinforcements I've been able to abuse with that list more than any other list I've played before.
No,
and it's turned out pretty well. So
it's quite fun, and I'm glad I'm jumping into Dweg Home. All right,
best faction.
You're heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, you're here.
Karl, tell us what the second best faction is and what your list is.
Yeah, so I ran Spires. It was basically just an updated version of my LVO list to handle the meta. Brute Drones took a pretty big hit, which they needed to. Also, Spire's early scoring got clobbered pretty badly. So it's functionally running the same. It's got a big block of Force-Grown Drones that have an Executor and AOD, so it's there to cause problems. I swapped out my Foot Ferromancer for a Biomancer to bring Great Virulence for the Marksman, and I also added in, let me bring Incarnates to get some Cleave 2. And then I cut it down from 13 to 12 cards, kept one MSU of Brute Drones, and absorbed another one as extra stands into the Warlord block. So I was running a 5+ Ferromancer, which is very good. And then I got an extra Marksman stand-in, so I was running full 5.
Nice.
Actually, I may have been doing that at LVO. But yeah, it's a very good list.
Well, you're doing really well with it.
Yeah, thing that wants to die first. Oh yeah, and I have 2 MSUs Strix. Probably the Strix. They're there to die. I know they're going to. Biomancer and Pharaoh let me leverage them for quite a bit more damage than they should be doing for their points, but that's kind of the Spires thing. You put more points into your characters so you can turn your rags to riches. Last thing I want to die is the Marksman clones. Or probably the Warlord, because he's kind of the linchpin to everything. But really, it's the Marksman clones, because as long as they're the main damage of the list, and as long as they're alive, they are getting me value.
Yeah, those Marksman clones, they're rough to deal with.
Yeah, the Biomancer was also a little bit of a development, because I needed... So Andrew, Huckleberry, I'm actually quite sad that I didn't get to play him at Adepticon. I met him for the first time at LVO, but he's just genuinely a very pleasant and fun person. But he scared the fuck out of me, because I actually thought that Ashen Dawn was kind of on the down low. With our testing and that kind of stuff, because I had ways to beat it, and then he showed up with the triple Ashen Dawn and almost beat me at LVO. So I picked up the Biomancer, because Great Virulence and Unstable on the Marksman clones can come close to breaking a unit of Ashen Dawn per turn. I'm usually seeing about 15 wounds on Ashen Dawn from them, and that is insane value, and sometimes you just have to make stuff dead. It's the same thing with Bone Golems. So they're a little bit of a hate piece with how good Old Dominion and 100k were. The Biomancer plus the Marksman clones was really there to deal with those threats.
Hate it.
Yeah, it's Skillen's been playing a list similar to yours lately, and it is tough to deal with, and he's only getting better every time he plays it.
Lately, it's only been a week.
Well, I've had to play against it for like 3 months now, and it's like, ugh.
That's fair.
I wouldn't know what that's like. I wouldn't know at all.
Yes, Bryan, my most common opponent.
Good God.
Do you wanna say anything about your loose formation and what is it, Bastion on the Force-Grown Drowns? Or
Yeah, so Bastion is really nice. It's very situational. If I'm Bastioning the Force Groans or just using regen on them, it really depends on whatever threat they're dealing with. Loose formation is really the winner there. Shooting is how, like, Force Grown drones look like a magnet for slingers. Like, if they didn't have loose formation, I'd be picking up 4 stands a turn, even with uber high resolve and re-rolling everything. Like,
Yeah,
they are very susceptible to mass hits, and when it's spec'd with loose formation, the block just gets to say no. And that is huge, because if you can't shoot or magic the block, you have to deal with it in melee. And if you have to deal with it in melee, then you're going to be eating AoD. And that's just foul. There was another comment that my list didn't have much in the way of cleave, with the sense really being the hold down for that. That is kind of true, but Induce Lethargy is actually just better cleave, because I can put it on whatever I need it, and then I can focus fire, basically giving my entire army cleave against that thing. And on top of that, I can use it for a nasty combo with the Ferromancer, and then... So, this was... Some people didn't pick up on this, but Deadly Blades is mathematically the same as just having Cleave 1. It balances out as lowering their defenses by 1. So between Induced Lethargy and the Biomancer being able to slap Virulence on stuff, I really did have a lot of ways to deal with armor.
Imagine our death with Cleave 1, guys. Is kind of what we're getting at here.
Yeah, Bryan is has been on the receiving end of that quite a bit, where it's just like, oh yeah, so you're going to take AOD 20, and by the way, those initiates are defense 3 now.
Yeah.
Have fun, lose 2 stands.
With marksmans and everything else piling in on that. Like, it's a really fucking dirty list.
Yeah. God damn it, Karl.
It's one of those. It's one of those lists where if you try and ignore the drone block to go do something else, you're still going to get shot. You're still going to get blocked. You're still going to get attacked.
And it's such a big block. It's such a big board presence. Like, you can't ignore it. That's the thing. You have to deal with it.
Yeah, one way or another. Like I
Like,
think
that's-
our game that we did play a couple weeks ago, or it's been longer now. I tried. I just couldn't.
Yeah. Yeah, like, you tried, and then they got to your slingers. And then I was like, okay, that's a turn. And then I turned around and doubled back on a big block of Braves.
Without that, we basically traded sides of the board for our blocks, is what happened.
Yes, that is true.
Well, and as Karl may have mentioned, you go to engage it in melee, even if you can somehow get past all the AOD and the deadly and always inspired and all the other nonsense you can put on them, and the induced lethargy. It's like, cool, marksman clones. They don't care about line of sight anymore, so just eat shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that also happens.
I love it whenever I'm playing Karl and he's like, "Oh, just eat shit." I'm like, "Yeah, it's my perfect space I want to be. Love it."
I don't think I say that a lot.
No, but sometimes you drag it out.
It's
turn by turn
implied.
Yeah, like, okay, we probably could have called this 3 turns ago, but I want to finish the kill.
He gets the blood in his eye. He's like, "All I was seeing was red."
Look, Skrillin said something on the Discord yesterday about the Karl look, and I immediately knew exactly what he was talking about. And I think anyone who's met me in person knows.
Yeah, it's true.
I've seen that look on your face many a time, and it's quite amusing from the judge's side to see it.
Almost as amusing as when he's trying to maintain the kind of like the deadpan, and you say something, it catches off guard, and he kind of goes, "Whoop," like he's holding in a bird.
I imagine it's very similar to the kind of, vacant stare that a bear has when it's eating something that's still alive.
Oh,
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's got that kind of soullessness.
Not
Well,
wrong.
Law of the jungle, just is what it is.
Yeah. I didn't write the rules. I just live by them, that kind of thing.
Karl, let him get 1 point. No.
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 Okay, look. We'll talk about the victory points versus strength of schedule. We'll talk about that
Right
when we get
now?
to round 5.
Or-
We'll do
okay.
that when we get to round 5.
Someone keeping notes that Karl can keep on track. Perfect. All right, Steve, tell us about your round 1.
Round 1 played into Nords.
How was that?
It was Nords I was playing into Nords in Foresight, so that was about as exciting as one might expect. Honestly, if we'd gone to round 7, it would have probably been tipped in my favor. I was behind 6 points because on 2 turns, basically, he had enough stuff on all the different zones that no matter what I picked, basically, it was going to give him the additional points. But at the end, though, it was pretty much cool. Canifores are just they're within auto charge range of your shaman and minimum MSU of raiders, so that's my zone now. He had a Seatnar that charged, clashed, volleyed my Praetorians that were on center point, and I think he did two wins after all was said and done.
Yeah.
And then he had another Seatnar that was tied up with bone golems, and then I had a bunch of legionnaires surviving on all the other points. So, I think a 4 block of golems that was still loitering around. So, like I said, if I'd gotten to round 7, I probably could have swung it at that point, but there wasn't a lot of time left at that point, so just kind of is what it is. That was my loss for the day.
No. Well, thank you for your game. Sucks to have lost the first one. I know for my
We're
first
going to
round.
start all this on the counter.
Yeah. I know for my first game, I was like texting the girlfriend. I'm like, I'm super nervous, and she's like giving me moral support, and I pulled through. So, yeah. And then I had a beer round 2 and just chilled out. Kang.
Yeah, sorry your first round went so bad, Steve. Mine was great.
Yeah.
Mine was excellent.
Hey,
I mean,
on that note,
it was only 6 points. I don't think it was that bad. There have been games where it's just like, all right, did you need me to show up to the table? Like, I could have just gotten something to eat if it was all the same to you.
Karl, you could have let him get 1 point. No.
Hey, my round 1 scored a point.
Oh.
Jesus.
A single point.
No, he scored like 4 points, I think.
Oh, how nice.
I meant more like at Gen Con when you and Steve, quote unquote, played.
I got 4 points, and then when they did the interview on this podcast, I don't know if it was Mastercast, but one of them basically just went, "Did he actually, like, Jesus? Like, did you let him kill something? Like, what happened?" And I'm just like, so this is a fascinating experience. It's like I'm listening to my own autopsy report.
Poor
Oh
Steve.
my god.
Always the
Your
corpse
own
on the table.
obituary, yeah.
Always the corpse on the table, never the operator.
That's why he plays Old Dominion, so he can get up after.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Whose round 1 are we on?
Mine, I think. I remember Math saying Kang at one point.
Thank you very much, Steve. Kang, would you like to go on about your round 1?
Oh, I should. I'm going to get a shout out to my opponent, Deco Puma, on the Parabellum Discord. Great guy, very quiet, but we had a wonderful game. He was playing Dwego. He had 4 Fire Forged, 2 Whole Ballista, each one with a Steel Shaper in it. He also had a couple Sorcerers. Both of them were Fire, I think. And we played Foresight. Oh, this mission's so great, guys. This mini game on top of a mini game on top of a mini game.
Yeah, it's not great.
But it actually turned out pretty well for me. Turn 1, just things came on the board. Slingers set up. Turn 2, I deleted a unit. Turn 3, I deleted a unit. No, but it was really fun. My Brave block did exactly what I wanted it to do. It charged up the board. I kind of forwent a couple points over a couple turns to just smash into the Fireforged units across the board with the Brave block because they were tenacious, stoic, all that stuff, just ignoring hits left and right. It pretty much came down to him having 1 unit on the board on round 10 and me scoring everything on, and then him also giving me points at the very end by picking one of my points that I picked. So that was fun. There's not a whole lot to say. He was playing Dwight Gunline and I was countering it. That's all.
Nice. So you won that one?
Yes, sorry, I did win that one.
Very well done.
I'll add in as a general point, just as as the Twig player here. Wadroon is actually probably like Karl's list kind of just straight up counters Dwight Gunline just by virtue of the 1 block. But Wadroon as a faction is kind of one of the scarier things for Dwight Gunlines to handle because there's no other faction I think that is as good as just thumping stuff from a distance on a strong charge, even if it's we're shooting up into the monsters left and right. The sheer amount of pressure that Wad can bring to a certain spot is something that Gunlines don't like dealing with. So that's a tough fight.
Yeah, the Fireforged holding back to not get attacked by slingers with the amount of shots they had, just let my Braves, the block, just kind of rumble right in. Turn 4, it was hitting a block. Turn 5, it was hitting the other block. So
yeah.
No, it's good. Well done, man. Bryan, how was your round 1? You want to talk about it?
I suppose that's why I'm here. I played Skrillin.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So I have to be very careful with my words here.
No, he's waiting for this. You can do an autopsy on him. He listens to this.
He was a fucking terrible player, and I don't see a lot coming from. No, I'm kidding. Skrillin's fantastic. It was a very fun game. He's a great player, a great guy. I enjoyed talking to him about all the strategy and everything going on, and he was very eager to learn, which is great for games like this. He's playing. What was he playing? He was playing not Directorate. Was he playing Underspires? What the hell
he was playing Sovereign Lineage.
Sovereign, that's what he was playing. That's right. He had the Lineage Highborn in the Carnate block. He brought the Giant Mantis Shrimp. He brought the Siege Breaker. an MSU of Marksman with the High Clone Executor, some Avatar MSUs, kind of just general Spires good stuff. Played the tight Dwight Castle game plan. I kind of described that at the gate with my list, charged right up. Again, it was Foresight, played from the middle of the board. I left myself a little bit of room on my left flank to reinforce in some Fireforged. Reason being is because that was it's a very brute heavy list, so I have even more ability to castle to that list because I can still kind of just chill behind the circle blocks and blast away at whatever was coming. And it was a really good game. He pushed hard on my left, his far right flank with his Incarnate block. Slammed into one of my Hellbringer Drakes. Promptly didn't do nearly as much as I think he was hoping to do between tokens and evasion 2. The thing lived, and then the block got hosed by the Fireforge sitting right there, so that wasn't great for him. And then the same kind of stuff happened when the Siegebreaker finally landed on my Berserker block all the way to the other side of the field. All that smite still didn't really matter. There's just a lot of wounds and high resolve in that unit, so even through the Terrifying, he wasn't able to push quite through on that block as he wanted to. And it was kind of weird because generally Spires takes the board against Dweg very easily, and I'm catching up into them, but this list turns that on its head, and I was already up on the midfield by the time that his stuff was actually coming on to challenge that. So I just had to hold the castle, and he didn't quite force concentrate the way I think he needed to break the castle where he needed to break it. And I ended up winning. I forget what the exact score was, but he wasn't very far behind. Like, he was able to push up Vanguard clones to take another point off the other flank that I completely abandoned. And he caused a little bit of consternation with his Strix, but straightforward fight. It was a good game. Scroll's a cool guy. Good stuff.
No, that's really good. I know for sure after your game, he played 2 more Dweg opponents. I think he played, actually, Kang, your round 1 opponent, at some point. And he had not played into any Dweg before coming to Adepticon, and then 3 out of his 6 matches are just Dweg home.
Hey, get those reps in.
Yeah, so now he's, like, asking me, he's like, keep playing Dweg home, keep playing Dweg home. And I'm like, all right, man, I gotta build Dweg home, hold on.
What did he do? Did he beat Deco? Did he beat the other Dweg players?
I believe he beat... I don't think he beat Deco?
Yeah, we call it
Deco.
Deco.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I was going to say Deco, but that's not right. I don't think he beat Deco. He beat the other guy, though. Because I think Deco was playing the 4 Fireforge list. So...
Yeah, that's a pretty mean list for...
Yeah, I know he lost into that one, and he was like, he wants me to build 4 Fireforge now, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm still trying to build the other box.
Oh, god. I'm one of the biggest Dweggies around. I refuse to build any more than the 2 kits I've already built of that fucking unit.
If you're selling Dweg home and have 2 built units of Fireforge, they just have to be built. I don't care if they're primed or anything, or painted. Let me know, I will buy them.
Yeah. If you've done the worst part already, I will happily profit off that labor.
I will give you money for labor.
That's how it works.
Karl, how was your round 1?
Honestly, it might have been my most enjoyable round.
So was it
I'm gonna feel really bad. Okay, well, yeah, but I was... Okay.
Karl, you could have lay it... No.
Okay, I think it was 77-6.
I had a great time. I beat this kid up and took his lunch money.
Jesus, Karl. Okay.
No, so I'm gonna feel really bad if I get it wrong, but I'm like 95% sure his name was Dan. He said he was playing Legion pretty competitively, and so like obviously he had a pretty good Woodrune list. Actually, it had the bones. He had a big block of Blooded. With an Aberration, which is like it's a decent thing. He had the big block of Braves with Fanatic War. He had MSU of Veterans, the Tantor, the Apex, an MSU of Raptor Riders was maybe a weak link there, but like he had the stuff, and he definitely had the bones for it. So like obviously, I knew how his list worked better than he did. Which is just one of those unfortunate things, but he was very fun to play into, and he was very eager to learn, and so I just had a great time playing that game. So yeah, it was. I mean, it's Foresight, it's gamey, it's a mini game within a mini game. I hope that Foresight, Decline, Flank, and Grind Them Down are cut from the competitive play packet. I think they're more fun casually, but yeah, 77-6. I want to say, and yeah, it was a good time.
Well, I'm glad you won your first game. You had a good time with your opponent. Yeah, Foresight. I'm not a huge fan of Foresight at all. My opponent had to remind me multiple times to write something down because I just kept forgetting.
You know,
it's more game than you want to play in a single game.
Yeah. Karl, I'm really glad and proud of you that you taught someone while you beat their face in. I've been trying to tell you to do that for so long, and I'm glad it finally sunk in.
Karl's great. He will kick your teeth in, but he'll also help you pick them back up after you're done.
Yeah, I was going to say, I try to help people. So it was like one of those where he had his death veterans that were going to Forged in Battle and then Inspire Clash into my Strix, and I'm like, all right, so don't Inspire, because I had March charged him with the Strix to tie them down to stop to block something else off. I think Warbred. And I was like, okay, so your veterans are going to kill the Strix, but you'll take more lethal if you go for the Inspire. Because you'll be taking more hits in. I only have 12 lethals to do to you, but if you do about 9 hits, I'll fail 6. Probably fail all my resolves, and then you'll only take 6 lethals back as opposed to 10 to 11 if you just hit me with everything. So he didn't Inspire, killed the Strix exactly, and he only lost 3 wounds to the lethal in return.
Wonderful.
And it's kind of stuff like that, and it's definitely I enjoy games, even at cons and that kind of stuff, where I'm able to get in a bit of a lower key and go into teaching mode. Because it's just, those games are a little bit more fun. If I'm able to teach while also just playing and, getting the win. So, yeah, it was a fun time.
Yeah, just for clarification, I'm giving Karl shit. He is a wonderful teacher when he's playing someone. It's great to see, though.
I'm glad. Steve, you lost round 1, so tell me you won round 2.
I did. From that point on, it was all wins until round 6, which was a tie. But round 4, or round 2, there we go. Dwegum. Unfortunately, I'm terrible with names. I don't remember who this was that I played against. He was a newer Dwegum player. I think he'd been playing since December. But he had, I think it was 4 or 5 stands of initiates with a Horde in there. He had the Warlord Tempered Sorcerer on the Helldrake. He had an Ironclad, some Ballistae that I kind of bullied. I feel kind of bad about that. They were kind of right in the middle. I had my Praetorian block marching into them. I was also flanked kind of by some of those Dwegum temple terrain pieces, so that they protected my flanks, and I just kind of march charged while still sitting kind of on center point and just kind of let AOD do its thing into them, tying up his flame berserkers that were behind them. A few other things. Kind of played a little cagey with the 2 monsters, so they just kind of sat in the back and shot at some bone golems that were just kind of there as a distraction. This was Grind Them Down, so after a certain point, there wasn't really a lot else that I could choose to go after for the additional scoring, but I don't remember what the exact score was at the very end. I had it written down somewhere, but yeah, and ended up winning that eventually, and then just kind of talked about maybe some suggestions for I feel like maybe the Magma Sorcerer would have been good, because, a bunch of flanking hits on things with, shields like Legionnaires and Praetorians probably wouldn't go amiss, and being able to have, maybe a little bit better positioning with the Ballistae and the Flame Berserker, stuff like that, and just kind of, maybe some stuff to look into for future games.
Nice. So you kind of just out-positioned him and then just kind of led to your victory? That's what it seems.
Kind of ground things down. Like Praetorians holding center and having their flanks protected is pretty gross. They didn't really care about the MSU of Ballistae. They didn't really care about the MSU. I think it was MSU of Flame Berserkers. The 2 monsters were just literally on the back, within 8 inches of his deployment zone, just kind of in the back corner, not really moving. So I think he was scared of the golems. And then just his initiates block, I didn't really have anything big enough to really go into it since the golems were kind of holding the monsters back. But they just kind of sat on point and just kind of ground things down and just eventually just took more zones. So
Nice, man. I'm glad you got this one. I did not win round 2, I'll tell you that.
I did to die if it makes you feel better.
Yeah. Seems like a lot of people didn't do well round 2. Mathew, did you win
Sure.
round 2?
I did.
You want to tell us about it?
Of course, I love talking about my games. I don't actually get to very often.
That's
Woe is me.
That's why I brought you on.
I appreciate it. I got to play Shinky, who's actually a Vanguard down in a Lansing. I
Yes.
think it is.
Yep.
Yeah, he's basically a local guy. He comes out every once in a while to play games, and we haven't played in a long time. Shinky was playing Spires. He was playing. I believe this one was also he had a what's it called? The Highborn, and he had a Baromancer in his army. He didn't have the Biomancer though. He just had the 2 characters, I think. He was running very Avatar heavy, and he had a Siegebreaker and 2 units of Incarnate Sentinels. I don't remember where everything is situated, but he had a very cut down sort of list. His block of drones was much smaller than Karl's. But Karl's is just massive, and like you don't see a big
Thank you.
block like that every day. Yeah. So, like I said, we played Grind Them Down, and I honestly think the state of the board helped me a lot. Because he, in like near his board edge, there was this massive piece of impassable terrain that was near the middle. So it forced him to have 2 huge lanes, while my side was pretty open, while the impassable piece of terrain for my side was closer to one of the objectives. It forced him to push his block forward to the middle. I just sat back with slingers and shot at it for like 7 turns, and eventually killed it, while my Braves just kind of held back and then charged into his avatar that were being held down by dinosaurs on the middle point. This was also the game that the Siegebreaker died to Hunters. That was a whole little thing on the left flank where I had my second Apex come in and like threaten the back objectives on his side. He had a Siegebreaker and Avatar there guarding it. I charged in, did almost all the wounds to the Siegebreaker. Left it on 1 wound. And then the Apex died. He moved the Siegebreaker on, and then I charged with the Hunters through after killing some Avatars, screening it, and just beat it in melee. That's what happened. So
You had 1 wound left. It wasn't like you were killing it from like half.
yeah, no,
full.
it wasn't. No, it's a great story. They around the
They found it crippled and on the verge of death and are like, all right, we're eating good tonight.
It was like a horse, and they're just like, "Oh, get the gun. We got to put it out of its misery."
They're like, oh, roadkill. Oh, fantastic.
Exactly. It is something they will be telling their children for generations and embellishing forevermore.
Oh my god!
But
They are not bound to the tribe.
nope. This was one of the games where my slingers actually did die. They were almost touching the back of my board, honestly. I had baited one of his unit of Incarnate Sentinels to just run across the board at them, while I had a unit of Blooded going around. And then he brought his other unit of Incarnate Sentinels, so they were miles away from each other, no support. So I was able to just hold them down and kill them in turns 7, 8, 9.
Nice.
And then, yeah, I did win that game mostly due to the weird grind them down shenanigans of hopping off of a point, hopping back onto it with my Tauntaur.
Yeah, that's I failed to do that but I got set up to do it, and I failed to do so, and it was like, fuck.
Yeah, I'm not really sure I like it very much. I would much rather just be like something more simple, or I don't know, just less of that.
I don't want to leave the zone I'm already scoring. I like the setup for grind them down with the 5 zones, but that select something you don't have control over and having to take, it's just like
I could see. I honestly would. We're getting off topic, but I would love to see something where like you get escalating amount of points to a certain value, for holding it over a couple turns. But that could lead to other issues at the same time. So
Praetorian Guard.
yeah, fuck them.
Dwagom as a concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, nice job on your win, Bryan. Tell us about your game and grind them down.
Yeah, this was my first loss at a tournament. This was into the old Huckster, Huckleberry Finn.
You mean Huckleberry Smash?
Yeah, good old Andrew.
Huckleberry Smash!
I love when he shouted that. I think it was like round 6 or 5.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just like, oh shit, this is happening.
Like Karl said, Andrew is a delight to play, and I'm happy to see him across the table. I'm not happy to see 3 units of Ashen Dawn. That's less delightful, but I owe myself the defeat here because this was his chance to take vengeance on me from LVO, as I beat him in round 4 pretty handily, but he turned the tables on me here.
Do you think he went into like the Horse Mountains and was like lifting like battle foam bags and shit, and he was just like getting ripped, ready to go for did his training arc?
Yeah, he and Deco I think are in the same area. Like they go to a lot of the same events together. So I assume he took a lot of anger out on poor Deco for all this. But no, seriously, I played pretty much the same exact game plan. One of the best things about Ballast Day, other than like just their general usefulness, is that they take down objective markers very efficiently for Dwagom. So they walked right up the middle and handled that. There are objective markers that grind them down, right? I think I heard you guys say that.
No, there isn't.
Or am I making that up?
There are not.
Oh, I'll just shut the fuck up. Oh, there's a middle zone. That's what it is. There's a middle zone. Well, I'm going to make that same exact point the next time there's an objective marker scenario, and you guys wait for that shit.
Yeah, it's round 5. Don't worry.
Jesus. Anyway, I was thinking of the middle zone, but yeah, one of my the tenacious block pushed up to the middle zone, and then I had the other block on their left. One of the things I've noticed that I can catch 100 Kingdoms players out on, because I got Andrew with this too. Mass will know what I'm talking about. But the Seal Temple really much want to push on a flank, and it's very easy to get a little overzealous with that with Seal Temple, because the Fireforge can reinforce on that flank out of nowhere, and pop a few close AP2 shots for their trouble. So I was able to pull that off and enter that game, and I was feeling pretty good about it. And I think that and just general cockiness kind of got me away from it, because eventually the other his Seal Temple on the other far flank took a couple of volleys from the Hellbringers, and it was down to 1 stand. And I'm sitting there thinking of the back and forth objective boon, like if you're taking one that you're not holding in that scenario. So I'm like, all right, well that the Seal Temple on this far edge are down to 1 stand. I've got a chance to charge them with this Zerker block here. I get points for it if I land it over there. I'm going to try it. I don't even think I fucking made that charge. Like, the Zerker block moved forward like 2 inches. It didn't even score the other fucking zone anyway. But they were already committed, and the turn after, I clean up that 1 stand, and they push up onto that point, and then they reform back towards the center to be able to move on from there. Well, he reinforces fucking Ashen Dawn right behind them. Because they're far too far forward, and there was no reason for that Zerker block to ever move forward, especially for just even for the points of the extra points on that scenario. Like, I was in a perfectly fine position just holding that refused flank. So that was my big mistake. And of course, he wins priority on the next round. So that Ashen Dawn smashes right into their ass and brings them down to I think literally a wound.
Oh my god!
With that 1 stand, yeah, because they were out of range of tokens for the 8 inches on the wizard as well. So yeah, just an utter mistake on my part that immediately got punished by the prior roll. And even though the list fought as hard as it can, it's Dwag, so we play a really mean attrition game no matter the scenario. Eventually, there's just too much Ashen Dawn, and they've just ground through all my stuff. And I think I literally had 1 Drake left on the field at the end of the game, so we were just like trading back and forth on that stupid rule because grind them down's weird. On the scenarios on the opposite flank, but he had the huge objective advantage, and he was going to be able to kill that Drake eventually anyway. So I think it was something like 62-48 or something is what we decided at the end of the game. So it was not a complete blowout, but that move definitely cost me the game there. And Andrew's a really good player, and he was able to exploit it. So
yeah, being able to punish mistakes is huge, because we've noticed like I can make mistakes, but I generally run a pretty tight list at a pretty tight game. And can usually get away with them, but when people can actively punish mistakes, those are on like Bryan and I, those tend to be quite good players, and that it's a decent metric I found.
Karl needs to be punished more often. He's a bad boy.
Get Chuck in bed with him again.
Oh
shit.
boy.
You heard it here, folks. Get your fanfics ready now. I want to start seeing that fucked up art.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the cuck. Charles and Chuck.
Oh my god.
You called him a
Once
trick.
again,
Steve
Shut it
sent me
down.
some story about Chuck's dice, and I immediately called him because Steve said something like he he used the guy's dice,
Yes.
and made them way better, like some kind of cucking
No,
scenario.
what happened is the guys, he had the city states dice and he couldn't roll like below a 5 or something. It was sick and sad for like 3 games, and so Chuck's like, give him here. And then every time he'd roll them, he'd be like, oh, look at all these 1s and 2s. Hey, come over here and look at this. And he'd make them look at the dice, how they betrayed him like it was some form of dice cuckoldry. And it's like, don't do that, man. Don't. This is
why I don't
cruel.
think, this is why I don't think he's the trickster god. He's the cuckster god.
Oh god. That makes a lot of sense, to be honest. It's blue balling all of us.
Jesus.
Carl, how was your round 2? Who'd you play?
Carl white knuckling his fucking silver gnomes right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you holding them
played
right now
Fort-
for safety?
No, they're on my nightstand. Okay, they're on my bookshelf.
Is Fish
I was
Jones
gonna
the
say next
safe
to your
word?
bed, huh?
They watch you while you sleep.
Yeah, I had Jeff. Poor Jeff.
Judge Word.
Shout out,
Jeff is a very good player who is often betrayed by his dice.
This is genuinely true.
Yeah, he's like the reverse Chuck. In fact, I will just say that documentably now. He is the reverse Chuck.
Let's trademark that.
It's
Yeah.
true.
TM.
But yeah, so he had I actually think Mathew brought a slightly better Woodrune iteration, but Jeff had a very good one. It had the block of slingers with mantle. It had the bones of what it needed to do. But I had Strix and I had the Force Grown Drone block. So basically the entire game can be summed up as his slingers never volleyed. They played chicken around my Strix for the first 2 turns, and then I won priority with disadvantage on the top of 3, and March charged his slingers with my AOD block of Force Groans. And I, again, as they have hopefully emphasized, I try to be a reasonable opponent most of the time, and so this was specifically because it's Jeff, who is a pretty good friend of mine, and we play a lot, and I said, look, man, I think you just lost the game. And he was like, yeah, I did. Because then he flips slingers, they basically just die to AOD. And then I pinned him to the back of his board, on grind them down, and then just pushed in. He never was able to move forward. My marksman spiked a roll with great virulence into veterans and killed half of his block. But at that point, it was like already over, and it ended up being 66-6.
Jeez. Still very... Yeah, jeez. I'm like, oh...
That's the devil's game.
It truly it was.
Poor Jeff.
I felt bad for Jeff there.
I want Jeff to have one good major this year.
I
Give
want
the
Jeff
man one
to
good
just,
one.
I want Jeff to just punch Karl. Not literally.
Oh my gosh.
You can't force violence upon people.
Figuratively in the game.
disagree.
I like Jeff a lot.
But, you don't want to get punched in the face by him. I understand that.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want him to hurt his hand.
Oof.
Jesus. I do found it
That's
really...
not a Jeff. That's not a Jeff roast. That's a Karl being full of himself.
Yeah,
thing.
no, because it's really funny.
That's kind of a Jeff roast.
We, Skill and I showed up on Thursday, and it's like, man, where's everybody? It's like, we get a message, it's like, oh, Carl's at, like, the gym getting a quick pump in, and it's like, what the fuck? Why are you working out? You're supposed to be at the con.
Yeah, I went to the. Almost every con we hit up, Chuck and I end up hitting up the gym on just one of the days because he has that Planet Fitness black card.
I think it was day 2, but I think it was like, oh, we're gonna, let's go to the concession stand to get food, and then Chuck just messages us and goes, I'm at the gym. When's the next round start? It's like, excuse me, what?
Yep.
Just gone. Yeah, it was funny. Steve, round 3. How'd you do?
Round 3. I got Jeff, Judge Worm.
Oh, poor Jeff.
It Yeah, it was head-to-head.
I don't mind head to head. I actually like that scenario.
Well, Drain into Old Dominion, that can be an interesting one. Especially with the recent updates that Old Dominion got. Praetorians just started kind of hoofing it towards midfield objective. Kind of took a little while because Jeff was the first few turns he had pretty good supremacy rolls, so he was kind of able to get off some early hits with his slingers. His hunters got into position midfield in some forests, so they were able to get enough in there. They were able to ignore the obscuring and basically just pelt the Praetorians from the side. That would eventually be a bit of an issue for him, though. Kind of just moved things into position. On my left side, I kind of had bone golems advancing towards the slingers, drawing fire from the Praetorians. Archimandrite kind of sitting behind, just kind of keeping everyone kind of topped up a little bit. Had kind of distraction golems yeeting to the right side of the board so that they could go there's a back zone, and I think there were a few compounding issues. Basically, from that point on, he originally had some like twerk dice or something, I think he called them, but he switched to the Wandering Baron of Dice set, and
Bad move.
yeah, no, that was mistake number one. Mistake number two, I think, was he saw me measure my little MSU of Legionnaires that were within, I think, march charge of his hunter's flank, and he's like, well, I'm just going to aim and shoot into Praetorians rather than move them. I think he did maybe one or two wounds, and then they got charged. Enough of the golems survived the slinger pelting that they were able to kind of march charge into them and then just kind of steer them away using Order of Death for the next few turns. And then for the 5 block of bone golems on the right side of my table, for the far objective, I think all he really sent to deal with them was a 4 or 5, I think it was a 5 block of veterans is what he was running. But yeah, that didn't quite work, and I think he may have kind of been a little frustrated at that point because he kind of positioned them in a way where when I charged them, the golems were able to not only click into them, but click in such a way that they were also sitting on the objective, and he was not sitting on the objective, so that was kind of that. So basically just ground down most of his army and managed to sit on both points, and I think he had 9 points, and I think I might have had 70 or something by the end of it.
Jeez, dude.
It was pretty grim.
Yeah, I tend to find head-to-head to be one of those scenarios where it's like you got to play for the middle, but you need to make a play at some point for that 4-point zone on your opponent's side of the table to like close it out, because just scoring points are going to outdo killing regiments and characters and stuff.
Well, especially when VPs are what decides tiebreakers.
Yeah.
Just to make sure Karl keeps
round 5, Karl.
Grinding that axe for round 5.
You guys are, when I say the round 5 score, no one's going to let me forget it, so.
Nope.
Nope. It's been written down. It's a note now. Well, good job on your win, Steve, and 2-1 day 1. It's pretty good.
Better than I normally do, so.
Yeah.
I'm somewhat dismayed by the fact it's like, is this me getting better as a player, or is it just that Old Dominion got, like, buffed like crazy? And
it's
both.
Like, oh. You play Old Dominion much cleaner than you did even 3 months ago.
Yeah,
I think piloting that LVO list, you got a mean list, and then you got good at it, and so because you're playing a good list, you were able to grow as a player. Because you're playing, like, I can't pull punches at all.
I will say...
I have to have my brain on 100% of the time.
I mean, I do give myself a little bit of credit at LVO just because, like, first day I think I had both Deco and Bryan, the first and fourth place Gunline Dweg players. It's like, first and fourth, first and fourth, and it's like, oh boy, this is
which like, I want to say though, literally your deployments that game, even though they didn't quite end up working out for you, like in the middle of it, I was like, oh shit! Like I really had to change my game plan in the middle of that game. And also, as a further point, that's maybe your worst matchup is the Dweg Gunline or something.
Oh yeah.
I want to point something out real quick too. Is like You know, and Carl says you have to like turn his brain on to fight you. That's a really good thing. You always want your opponents to have their brain on and to be present. And I love watching Carl's brain fry when we play. It's hilarious.
Do you see the smoke come out the sides or what?
Sometimes.
Well, it happened last time we played. And that's when I started to realize that the double Apex was good, because I will fully admit that we missed that in testing.
Damn straight.
Movement 8 is pretty good for a monster, it turns out.
I'm so glad it got it back. It should never have left.
It's pretty fucking awesome. Can't argue that.
No. Well done, man. Kang, I'm looking at you. You can't see my eyes, but I'm looking at you for your round 3.
I can feel them. They're dirty. Ugh.
Probably.
You have
But,
hemorrhoids now.
my game 3, I played into Wraitho, who's on the Parabellum Discord. His name's Patrick. Great guy. He played Nords. He brought what I kind of figure is a normal Nord list, except he didn't have any Finner, which did he have Finner? He did. He had a block of Finner, I think. But he had a couple Bow Chosen. He had 2 units of Trolls, Ice Yatnar, some Huskarls. It's very vague. I didn't write his list down or anything. I just remember shots being fired and slings hitting people in the head. That's all. It was pretty bloody, actually. What was the mission again? I can't even remember.
Number 3 was head-to-head.
It was head-to-head.
Head-to-head.
People,
right, that's right.
People knew who I was on like the Discord and were finding me based on my voice, and I didn't know who people were. And then people were sending me their list through the Discord, and I was like, thanks. It's a really like surreal thing of just like people knowing who I am and me not knowing who other people are.
Oh yeah, it's that. It's very amusing, especially when you see the first time. It's like, oh,
when you came up to me when we were in the Parabellum booth, I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Who are you?
like, I'm ass.
It's like, ah.
But yeah, Patrick is great. There was a couple times where we had to speed up play, but that's not like an indictment of him. I think this was his first big event as well. So like, it was also a good teachable moment. He lost one big supremacy roll that kind of like shifted. We were pretty even for a while, and then when he lost that supremacy roll, it just kind of tipped, and his Ice Yatnar got pushed off of a point. I just started murdering the rest of the trolls. I threw a Tauntaur at some trolls with a blooded, and just kind of held them down. Hunters charge clashed some. What were they? Bow Chosen didn't live, but they kept them tied down for a minute. And like, my apexes were eating good, so I did eventually wipe him off the board, as far as I remember. And we had a teachable moment where he probably could have won that game if he had kept all his Bow Chosen centrally and just walked forward and shot my slingers to death. That probably would have won him the game, honestly. Because if they'd all gotten off, I would just be defense 1 and, no evasion there most of the time.
Yeah, precise shot is also really mean.
Oh, yeah.
Remember to get your Bow Chosen off, guys.
Yeah, get them off. They really need it.
Yeah.
One of the best regiments in the game still are Bow Chosen. Like, they're still really good.
Yeah, they're pretty awesome.
Well,
I remember for a little while there was someone saying something bad about Bow Chosen, but I can't recall who it was.
oh, it was like just dumb Nord stuff where it's like, because I remember they went from like range 16 to like 14, and they're like, they're unplayable now. It's like, no, they're still really good.
Well, they are.
Oh, I wonder who was
extremely
saying that.
Carl,
Yeah, I actually remember Karl saying something negative about Bow Chosen.
it's just shin on Nords.
What? I think not.
Gaslight Carl, 2024.
I'm immune.
Is it because you have loose formation?
Yes.
Well done on your win. So what, you're 3-0 round or day 1?
I
Wow.
was 3-0 day 1.
You're going really strong into day 2. Nice job, man.
I made it a point that I was going to prove everyone wrong. That Wadrun were not the worst faction.
No, we already know what the worst faction is.
I'd like to think that I said something a little bit rude in the Wadrun chat just before Adepticon, and I think that ergo I get credit for his great performance.
There you go. You've been sponsored.
Oh yes, I need you guys to like tattoo or brand me with that sponsor. I need it.
For a while you were like
I have all the stuff to give tattoos. Like we can do that.
Can you get me a tattoo of Wadrun Karl Marx? That one picture that Kang had for like ever.
I'll send you the picture.
I love that.
I had like
picture.
Xi Jinping Biomancer.
Yeah, that one was good too.
That's what I need. I need that. I need both those, one on each shoulder.
Damn.
Well done.
I guess the Ferromancer doesn't quite match this description, but Karl Marx, I'm picturing Karl Marx, but it's Karl's face.
As an orc.
or as a Ferromancer.
Bryan,
And I think that's the best like analog to Spires. Yes, Steve.
he can't grow a beard.
Oh,
Oh no.
he's
That's
working on his
alright.
stash.
The next time I trim mine, you can have some of the trimmers.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that.
You're welcome, bro. I got you.
I got after the Adepticon video, because there's like photos of me in there, I got a message from one guy and he's like, man, you got what's that thing on your face? And I'm like, that's my porn star stash. And it's like, oh, why don't you have any facial hair? You look ugly. And I'm like, because I can't for work. I have to be clean shaved. And I'm like, oh,
That mustache counts as facial hair. It's literally on your face.
it is.
Yeah.
Oh, except
I'm just
It's about as facial hair as it gets, if you ask me.
He's just a hairist.
just can't imagine someone just like openly like. I'll screw with Carl online just because it's like okay, like he knows me and he can also like punch me if he really feels like it. But I can't imagine just being like, I'm just gonna be a dick to you for no reason.
no,
Like,
the guy who's messaging me, him and I have chatted for many, like probably
Oh.
like 2 years now. So like,
oh, okay, that's less bad. I was just like, boy, you're really taking this pretty well, all things considered.
no, I don't really care. People. Oh, thank you, Mathew, for the Karl Marx. No, I don't really care what people say. A lot of the time, you gotta say something really bad for me to actually give a shit. My coworkers are calling me like tortellini because I'm Italian.
Oof.
Oh my god.
That's it.
Gotta
That's-
go all
that's-
pizza tower on them.
I'm Italian too, and that's fucking hilarious.
It is fucking hilarious. That was funny as all hell. They were coming up to me and they're like, "Hey man, is this okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's funny."
All this time I thought Brian was from Moria.
I'm from the part of Moria that still somehow makes really good lasagna.
I bet.
Oh, down
That's
in
the other.
depth.
If you see a photo of Brian, you expect him to be like 5 feet tall because he looks like a dwarf. Like a fantasy dwarf, and then you meet him and he's like, are you 6 foot?
Yeah, him and I are
I
about
think
the same size.
I think I'm actually. I don't know if you guys have ever listened to Not Another D&D podcast, but I think I'm actually a hard one, Surefoot, or whatever the fuck his name is. He's a tall
You guys-
human who was like raised among dwarves and thinks he's.
Ah, gotcha.
Oh my god.
What are you talking about? He looked like a normal sized dwarf to me.
Well played. Well played.
Brian, do you want to talk about round 3?
I'm trying to remember round 3. Oh yeah. Those days kind of become a blur for me after a while.
I took
Yeah.
photos.
That's shit. I really should. Excuse me. My round 3 was another 100 Kingdoms player. I played 300 Kingdoms this fucking tournament,
Jesus.
which I imagine most people did.
Lot of
To some
horse.
extent. Yeah, there was a lot of horse. But his name was Garrett. Really nice guy. I kind of feel bad that he didn't have the most fun time in that game because, like, literally turn 5 or 6, I was like starting to comment on some of his unit choices, and he was like, "Oh no, this list is terrible. Like, this is not the list I wanted to run. It was just what I
Wait,
had."
was that Mr. Tuna?
No, I
No,
played Mr.
no,
Tuna
there's
on round 3.
Oh, okay.
It was weird because he told me it was Mr. Tuna at the end of it, and I had no idea. I was just like playing a guy.
Well, I like the idea. Like, if he like introduced himself as Mr. Tuna without explaining that it was like a Discord handle, that would have been so fucking amazing to me.
No,
I call to my friends, I'm Mr. Tuna.
Hey, I'm
You're my
Mr.
friend
Tuna.
now.
Excuse me?
Right. Anyway, so it was head to head. He was playing. He had like a 5 block plus the Mountain Noble Lord Household Knights unit, a single 5-man of Ashen Dawn. I think he was running a seal. Yeah, he was running a single sealed temple, and then he had a block of men at arms with the Elysian Fragment Water Mage in there, which is cute, but nothing more than that. And yeah, it went exactly. Once again, like head to head is probably one of the best Dwight scenarios you could possibly have. Like you just put all of your castle on the main point that you're fighting over, and then your 2 Fireforged sit on your near point and dare anything to come near. And he got a little aggressive with the Seal Temple and the Mounted Squires, who promptly caught all of the reinforcing ranged units showing up on one side.
I do think that it is kind of a testament to like, because we can say that Ashen Dawn is like a very simple and like it's just the shoe-in list for 100k, and to some degree it is, but like you still need skill to pilot it, or a more skillful player will tear you apart. And I think that's just more points to Andrew for his performance, because it is just because it is a very good list that has stuff that is probably too good doesn't detract from the pilot of it.
Yeah. So, sorry to interrupt. My round 6, Peter and I played, and he was running 3 units of Ashen Dawn, and I was running my 2 Ashen Dawn, and we played, and it was more like I knew everything, like where he should be putting his stuff, and I just every little mistake he did, I took advantage of through that game for a victory. Like that's how that kind of went. But it's like
that's that punishment coming into play again.
Yeah. But it does really show like a skill of a player, and if you have an understanding, you can get through it and break through. Like I think there was 4 to 5 turns where 2 units of Ashen Dawn are basically just grinding into each other, and it's like, yeah, this is what we're doing.
Yeah, like they can't do it all by themselves.
No,
right? Like you actually have to apply. You have to apply them correctly, and you need the rest of your list to set up to shape the battlefield in order to do that properly. So, but yeah, that fight was pretty straightforward. Like the smite bomb from the Elysian Fragment Men at Arms unit landed on my Zerkers. I tokened a bunch of it. I lost like 2 stands, and then those Men at Arms do absolutely nothing for the rest of that time. And really, that was kind of basically it. Like that happened. I shot a bunch of his knights off the board. It started cleaning up that Men at Arms unit. His Ashen Dawn ended up getting stuck behind that Men at Arms unit because I took my sweet time killing them. Like I didn't activate that until the very end of the. I didn't activate that Zerker unit until the end of the round for 2 rounds.
Smart.
And he had the Water Mage in there keeping him alive anyway. So, and the only other highlight in that game I felt kind of bad for him was twice in a row I kind of Justice planned him. Because I had the he had his Household Knights unit waiting for that sweet like flank charge into the Zerkers I had holding the main mid zone objective on the flank, and twice in a row, right before he flipped his Household Knights unit, I dropped the Magmatic Seep right in front of that Zerker unit. So just like, yeah, no impacts for you.
I always forget that it's like hindering on top of everything else, just because I usually just see it used as the Seep chain or as the chain for Pyro.
Like against most things, that's what it is. But sometimes that hindering applies, and it's really disgusting. And yeah, like it made me happy because when he was telling me that that list was subpar, and I think it was subpar. Like that's not the strongest elements of 100 Kingdoms he can bring to bear. He brought up like basically wanting to play the triple block list instead, and just not having the models for it. I immediately was like, yes.
Good, not more Ashen Dawn filth.
Yes, play the actual Chad 100 Kingdoms list right now.
Yeah,
we had 88. We could have had so much more.
We could have. So, I think there was 11 100k players. We should have all gotten together and optimized Ashen Dawn spam. So we're all playing 12 Ashen Dawn.
Jesus.
Oh my god.
I'm full, thank you very much.
Like if I knew that was coming, I think I actively might have played my LVO list again. I think that's better into the Ashen Dawn matchup, just as a general rule.
Well, you played Ashen Dawn 3 times.
Ugh. I played the maximal version, the minimal version, and the medium, like, mass version.
Played horse.
and yeah, couldn't
On
quite handle
reflection,
maximum.
on reflection, I don't know what the fuck I would have done if it was nothing but the Ash and Dawn all over the place.
You were the one Madroon player in the sea of Ash and Dawn.
Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. What do you even do?
I made the meme list of like 2x9 Ash and Dawn, and it was really funny watching the main Discord like try and figure it out if that was a legit thing, and I'm like, God damn it.
That was the early April Fools.
Yeah, well, because it was after Adepticon was over, and it was like right before bed, and I just threw that out there, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to bed. Wake up in the morning, and people are like freaking out about it.
Hey, this went 3-0, guys. What?
I want someone to buy it, build it, and get it all ready, and then they eat nerfs right in time for using it. And
Oh,
It's 18 Ash and Dawn. Like, Jesus.
aren't they like $70 a box or something?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
60.
$60.
Wait, are they 70?
Yeah,
I
they're like
think
70.
I think so.
Yeah.
Well,
We
done.
have the internet.
To the eShop. Da-da-da-da-da. This thing's slow.
This is great. This is great radio.
Oh yeah, 70. Holy shit.
Yeah, a lot of money.
Whew.
Well done on your win, Brian. Karl, how was your round 3? I think you had to play somebody.
This was the chuckening.
This is where you lost your bedroom privileges, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So Chuck's my bunk mate at the cons. He started taking more of the bed. He was feeling confident after that night. But no, so in all honesty, like, on reflection, I'm not that upset at the game. There was some stuff that could have gone a lot better. There was some stuff that could have even gone worse, I think. Head to head, he had well, you can see his list up on the website, you can see my list. So the big thing is Strix are very good at Nords, and I let myself get sloppy because of that, especially because Chuck has been watching me victimize local players with Strix and non-local players for the last several months, and so he set his entire early board into dealing with them. So he was bringing on Yatnars strategically to cast. So both my Strix hit his Bosun, and then he just brought on Yatnars to shoot and spell them, used his Shaman to spell them. It really just turned into him building. He developed his board to deal with the Strix, so my Strix ended up dying for about 2 stands of Bosun, which is pretty rough, all things considered, for them. Then we had so the board's developing. I have my Force-Grown drones that are pushing up the 3 zone. My Brute drones and other Brute drones and Sentinels are going down the 4. He did a couple things I didn't expect. Like his Mage was casting Blurred Vision on my Marksman to bring their range down to 12, which was actually killing them, and there were multiple turns where the Marksman actually just couldn't shoot anything, which was really rough. But the big thing came down to I had my Force-Grown block set up for a flank charge clash into his Sea Yatnar, and it was a rerollable 3-up charge, and I got Snake Eyes.
Oh my god.
And if I'd landed that charge, it would have pinned it. It would have gotten his Sea Yatnar. It would have killed it between the clash and the AOD because it hadn't gone yet. It would have trapped his Ice Yatnar between multiple engaged regiments, and it wouldn't have been able to do anything. And I basically would have been able to close the Vice, no problem. But that didn't happen, and it was rough. I made one more tilt later in the game where I won priority and went with my Ferromancer. He overdrived into my MSU Brute drone. And that it killed his Ice Yatnar, but it left my other Brutes vulnerable to sea. I entouraged, or character activated, into my Warlord Brute block. Realized they couldn't make a charge, so I took it back, which ended up... It was a micro tilt where I just realized, okay, I can't do this, I'll just wait a second, and then of course he flips into the Sea Yatnar and just kills my Warlord. I should have activated into it, regen, and then marched back 7 or 6, and that would have basically kept me in the game. So I made misplays and he punished them, and that's what it comes down to. So failing the rerollable 3-up or the rerollable 2-up the next turn, because the next turn the Force Groans tried to charge Bow Chosen and rolled double 1s. But at the end of the day, those wouldn't have mattered if I hadn't made the mistakes with the Strix or the Brute Drones.
Yeah. Well, it seems
I remember.
like a really good game. Sorry, Brian?
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I remember after finishing my game against Garrett, Chuck and Karl were literally playing right next to us. So I just pulled up a chair right next to him, and I witnessed a couple of 2 of those charge rolls, and it was like some of the most heartrending things I've ever seen. But to Karl's earlier points about this, like, I remember immediately looking at Chuck's setup on his side of the field and just thinking, like, holy shit, this guy really knows his positioning. Like, those dice were bad, but even in those cases where it landed, like, it was clearly going to get mitigated by the counter setups that he had in play.
His positioning countered my list and matchup advantage, and then the dice decided it. And if a game comes down to dice, it's a good game.
100%.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
No, that's really good. I played till the very end of the round and was very far away, but I saw this gathering of people like kind of get more and more around your guys' table as you and Chuck played. It's like kind of looked over from my game.
It was a good game. It was fun to watch.
Well done. Well, that's day 1. Where did we eat again?
Finally, the real question.
No, that was Thursday. It was the burger place, or the it was the place next to the breakfast place.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
No, that was, the first game was Friday though.
Yeah, Thursday we ate at
That bar.
No, that was the Brazilian Express because it expressed right through.
No, Carl's right. It was definitely the Brazilian place first.
Yeah, that was Thursday.
Yeah, the Brazilian place was Thursday night.
And then Friday was the sushi burger joint.
Yeah, that's because Neil joined us there, and so did Neil and Andrew and Peter.
And then I believe his name was Mike, but I'm just like Milla Ninja. Right. Oh yeah, Milla Ninja's like a super nice dude.
Yeah, he's really nice.
Great.
Yeah.
Like he kind of found us, I think at the booth, and then we just started chatting and just kind of hanging out. And him and Skillen got a pickup game on Thursday after we had done kind of like wandering around and looking at all the stuff for Adepticon.
Yeah, we originally he was one of the 3 people that didn't show up from Michigan at Gen Con, and we just sort of abducted him into our dinner party. I'm not sure he was ready for that because it was like
he was still talking about it 8 months later.
Well, I mean,
a great memory.
Kicking off with Chuck just being like, "So I know that we have a reservation, but I just shot up a bunch of insulin because I'm diabetic, and we could really use a table like right now."
No fucking lie, that's what he did.
Well, I guess. Oh, there's no table already. Well, I guess you're just gonna have to watch me die, and I'm gonna look at you while I do it.
The middle of downtown Indianapolis.
He'll die for
in
a
front
table.
Of the fucking Buca de Chow.
the Cuckster God.
And he made them feel so bad he got a free dessert.
He did.
This is what you can do if you have diabetes.
You trade your
just
hair
get
for hours.
Just get
If
diabetes.
you can just sell having diabetes.
Oh my gosh.
But you're right. It was that burger sushi place one.
That was actually a really good restaurant. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it was nice. Had some good drinks.
Brian and I talked about Dwycombe a bunch.
Oh yeah.
There was a very interesting conversation about Eastern and Western swordsmanship in sparring between Skillen and Neil, which was great to listen and not understand half of it while I was eating my pot roast.
Yeah, I was just kind of sitting there in rapt attention, just listening to them go on about it.
Did you guys sleep well that night?
I got to
Slept
sleep on
I had a very bizarre night of sleep on Friday night. Very bizarre. No, I had a fucking dream
Oh,
About-
right.
Were you high on the spice? Like, what the fuck?
No, but fucking Bryan showed up in my dream as just like a head across the table from me in the convention hall, and I guess we were playing each other, and he said it was bound to happen. And then I like kind of woke up in a cold sweat and went to the bathroom and then forgot about it for the next 8 hours.
Fuck, man. Like, there's honestly, like, bound to, like, there's. I wish I remembered, like, play by play. I wish I had photogenic memory, because I would like to look back right now and see if I actually said that to you at the start of that. Because there was definitely a sense of fate leading to that fucking round
It would've
6.
Are you the Keysart Heterak? Like, what the? What the fuck?
Yeah, no, I was thinking, am I the Kwisatz Haderach? Did I accidentally do this?
No, what
You
happened is
foretold by fucking doom.
no, because you were sharing a bed with Chuck, his residual magic's just like whatever radiation he gives off, just like got to you, and that like
Did you lick some of his sweat? And you're like,
let you.
whoa!
Oh my god! They were butt to butt.
That's
He just
the water
played
of life.
osmosis.
It gave you whatever foresight he uses.
There was some osmosis going on there. It's just like, ugh.
All right,
There was
Nate.
definitely a slight blue glow to Carl's eyes, that's all I'm saying.
Oh my god! All right, Steve. Day 2, round 4. Who'd you play?
Was this Maelstrom?
This one, no, not me. Yeah, no,
Yep.
this was Maelstrom because I played it with Dream Player, and I basically went from one side of the table to the other.
So this was Maelstrom. I think I was up against the Panzer Medic, Vanguard from Indianapolis, if I'm not mistaken. He was playing 100 Kingdoms, and to my incredible relief, he only had a 5-block of Ashen Dawn. He did not have double 5-block. That would have been a real sad time for me. That was also this is the first time somehow that I had played against Ashen Dawn where they were running the Water Mage. Somehow I'd managed to dodge that to this point, and that's the first time I realized that that stupid little wizard can heal potentially 8 wounds.
Yeah, it's mean.
It's a lot. It's fucking
Yeah,
a lot.
I was not excited to learn that.
When an
Let's
Ashen
see.
Dawn comes back, it's like, oh no.
Oh no, it's when it's healing most of what you just did to an Ashen Dawn, and then bringing back another stand with most of its health. It's just like, oh, this is how it's just gonna go.
Yeah, welcome to the meat grinder.
Yeah, so on my right side of the table, I think it was our Ashen Dawn Praetorian blocks met and supported by some other stuff, and just kind of grinding down and just seeing which would crumple first. A bunch of smaller things, kind of on the other side. I think I had maybe I think the Higher Deacon and Legionnaires and some other Legionnaires are kind of just faffing around on the left side, just kind of doing their thing, supported by some Bone Golems. I forget what I had in the middle. I think at some point he just had his Gargantuan Gilded Legion Imperial Officer Hate Brick just plop in the middle. I'm like, cool, that's his. Wasn't dealing with that. I think I eventually collapsed the left side, had some Legionnaires just kind of toe onto the center objective. One he was kind of he'd kind of tried to move his Gilded Legion to maybe go deal with some of the Golems and Praetorians, if I remember correctly, and those little 3 stands counting as 5 kind of forced him to kind of reform and kind of not move off point, so that kind of kept the other side safe. I think it was a fairly close game. I don't think it was a single digit difference, but it may have been like within 10 points or something all told, but I did end up squeaking out a win in that.
Nice job, man. Also, that's a pretty good game within 10. You're not pulling a Karl. It's like 77-6.
Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah,
That was
we
that was
shall.
game 1.
Well done on your win, though. So what, you're at 3-1 right now? That's pretty good.
Yep.
Kang, you're
It was
3 to
stupid to
0.
last.
Are you going 4-0?
I kind of wish,
Oh.
but my first game of the day was Huckleberry Smash.
Oh. Did he say the catch line or the catchphrase?
Oh yeah, it was like when we announced pairing, so I was like, yeah, let's go, and he's like, Huckleberry Smash.
That guy's great.
But it was I'm probably gonna spend a little bit of time on this because I keep playing it over in my head a lot, and there's so many different things I feel like I could have done differently to mitigate the 3 huge Ashen Dawn blocks. Like turn 1 through 3 set the tone because we were playing Maelstrom, so I knew I had to own half of the board first to be able to contest the middle. What I spread out a lot. Turns 1 through 3, blooded and everything kind of ran up, but turn 2, he managed to get a unit of the Seal Temple into my hunters that were basically on my board edge. So that locked them down. They weren't able to shoot. I was really hoping to be able to use their AP1 Deadly into the Ashen Dawn, but he clearly understood that they were a threat from the very beginning. And I had not set my slingers to support them easily. So I couldn't just turn and fire because there was, let me tell you, this tournament did not have a whole lot of obscuring for the most part, but this table had 3 pieces that were huge. And part of me is feeling targeted, but I know it's not. So
Did you
want to get
have
that.
a massive wheat field in like the middle of your table or something?
No, I had a massive forest.
Oh yeah, there were some big pieces of terrain on some of these tables.
But like I wasn't targeted. I know it wasn't anything. That's just me bitching for no reason. So turns 1 through 3 kind of progressed and started setting the tone. He had almost one of the things he did that really kind of threw me is he actually held his water mage back turn 1 so that he didn't put her on to be threatened by the slingers, which I figured was going to happen.
Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. Don't even worry about it. Over the course of the game, I made a lot of sacrifices and just holding and putting pieces in places to just hold Ashen Dawn back, which was great. It worked out. I was winning. Like turn 7 and 8, I was on top. I was like 3 or 4 points ahead. Turn 8 is when it turned, because there was one Ashen Dawn stand in contact with an Apex Predator that had like 7 wounds left. I had to do 1 wound, and then I needed to move with the Apex to get it either into his water mage or onto the point behind it. And what do you know? I get 2 hits from the Apex without inspiring. 2 hits. And he blesses both of them and saves both of them. That wasn't what turned the game, but that's a really sore spot for me, is all. He goes on to kill the Apex and get that single Ashen Dawn stand onto the far right point that I had been holding on to for the entire game. And then he smashes my Brave block that had been holding against like another 5 block of Ashen Dawn that were trying to push them off. And he goes on to win by 3 points, which was great. Guy is wonderful. Love him. He's made me play harder than a lot of other people. I don't think he's made me play harder than Karl because Karl just kills me like turn 6. It makes me feel bad about playing an army. But,
You're welcome.
Yeah, you fucking
Great to be supportive, Karl.
But it was a wonderful game. I would love to play Andrew again, and I want to beat him next time. So, I don't know if that was very coherent, but like, it's still all there. I'm seeing it in my face. Just like going, oh fuck. Oh fuck. 11 dice, 2 hits. No!
Do you have like the cold sweats and you wake up at night over this game?
No, I wake up burning.
Oh.
Like,
man, this is your training arc.
No. I'm an old man now. I let other people win.
I don't think you're that old.
No,
He's younger than me.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
He's older than me.
everyone's
Which
older
was
than you.
Shut up, Karl.
Which was-
Everyone's older than you.
Which was horrifying because I still labor under this childish delusion where it's like, okay, if people are taller than me, that means they're older, they're bigger. Like it's a lobster thing. Like they just keep getting bigger and bigger. And then that's like, oh, I'm okay, you're younger than me. It's like, no.
No. But yeah, it was a wonderful game. I don't hold like it's not actually that bad. I like playing games like that. I don't feel bad about the loss. I feel bad about um, the Apex. That's all. She could have done better. Now she's gonna get the whip.
Cass, do you whip your apexes when they fail you?
No, I do appreciate that canonically everybody's Apex is a girl though, because mine are both girls as well.
You have to say clever girl.
Exactly. But no, I named my Apexes after people I know in real life, so I feel like it's both inappropriate and weird to do corporal punishment on their dinosaur equivalents.
Oh no, I don't. They're named Bertha and Gertrude for the two I took.
Those are good names. I mean,
What
I
are
They
can't-
are.
What are the other two named?
They kind of fluctuate a little bit. It's like one of them Shamon and the other one is Zelda or some shit like that. I don't take 4 anymore, so I only remember 2 names.
But you have 4. That's the important thing.
I will buy a 5th if they ever come out with the Spinosaurus. You heard me, Stavros.
What about the?
You heard it here,
What was
Stavros.
it?
I hope he doesn't listen to this.
The Quaddle? Oh,
Yeah.
I told. We're gonna go on another tangent for a second here. Usually, every year at Adepticon, I get Stavros to sign my Apex cards, and while he was signing that, I was making sure he was looking at it and focusing. It was like, "Hey, Stavros, when the Quaddle comes out, I got a special list for you." He's like, "Oh no, what is it?" Like, I want to run 6 Quaddle, and the light faded from his eyes, and he slumped, and he was like,
Like, you do realize that if you try to do that, it's going to get nerfed.
"Yes,
Like,
but I will
hard.
I will have one glorious span of time where I put 6 giant Quetzalcoatluses on the board and just run rampant on someone's ass, okay? And it will be good."
And everyone will blame you forevermore for getting them nerfed into the ground.
Yeah.
I will take that.
It's worth it to go bird shit on somebody, I think.
Yes.
Are you gonna like squawk around and just shit on the table with your 6 quaddles? And it's like, God damn it!
I'm gonna be like,
Motherfucker.
"Bird up, bitches!"
Oh
No,
no!
I think if you're running 6 Quaddle, you gotta, once you win, you gotta get up on the table and just like lay an egg. How?
Oh no, I don't want to be the Easter Bunny.
Well, that was like my Tantor idea. That was so since the Pez dispenser might not work. Instead, you know those little things where you like press them down and they like poop out a little jelly bean or something. We'll do the same thing with the Tantor,
yeah.
but it's an egg, and then you can put a little thing in it. So like when you press it down, just this little egg comes out.
You know,
Does it come out of the
funnily
Tantor's
enough,
butt?
you can fit an egg inside of a Tantor. Did you know that?
I saw that picture, yeah.
Take that through the airport. See how much fun they have with that.
No, please don't.
Is it
CSA agent, please stop.
They don't take you into the back room. They just take the Tantor.
All you hear is the saw.
Oh my god.
But yeah, that was my game 4.
Well, man, Huckleberry Smash is just going through everybody.
Quite literally, Huckleberry smashing.
Yeah. Until he got chuckled.
Oh,
God damn it.
jeez. Okay,
Anyways,
Brian, who was your round
Yeah,
4?
cuckold if you
we're already like we're barely halfway done and we're over 2 hours in.
Oh,
we
that's
gotta
fine.
chug through.
what is this, round 4? Round 4.
Yeah.
I played Majo Sockbert of Goonhammer fame, coming in from Australia. He was bringing his Wadroon veteran blocks. I think he had a couple. It was just blocks, actually. Now I think about it. It was a couple veteran blocks, a couple of blooded blocks, a Tantor, and an Apex Predator. And yeah, it was on Maelstrom. Did the usual thing with my list. Played for 2/3 of the board and walked forward. His blocks met mine. They kind of got tripped up on each other because, like usual, I'm not particularly in any hurry to kill the ones right in front. I can happily shoot over them at the stuff in the back or just lay it on the ones in front and force them to waste activations just waiting to actually get into my stuff, which happened. I was able to pull off to like 2 turns on the left flank. Right flank was much more involved. He had a lot more heat there, so that circle block ended up dying, but trading for everything in their front between the Hellbringer and the fire forward support behind. The Apex Predator. The Tantor actually fucking went straight down the center because, Tantor things, and landed into a ballista unit. And then the next turn, to finish it off, he tried to not inspire Clash to clear them out so he can get the charge off afterwards. But that's where the tokens come in, because he rolled like shit on the Clash. I tokened away most of them, and they died to the subsequent trample, but the Tantor was still stuck sitting there. And, both freaking Drakes and both Fireforts were sitting right there ready to cook up some dinosaur chicken. And it was delicious. But yeah, the Apex Predator ended up just going to the flank on the point that I did not try to fight for at all. So it was just 190 points scoring sitting over there for the entire game. And he got to learn twice that you cannot heal a broken unit, which playing Karl enough is something that you fucking make sure going into Underspires.
You count his stands?
Yeah. Pretty much. So
got to learn it a third or fourth time, I heard.
You should always kind of keep track of your opponent's stands. Like sometimes people don't have the broken token. Just keep track.
Sometimes.
There's a lot of important effects that come with broken. So yeah, it's definitely worth keeping an eye on what they are and when it happens. It's very important. But I ended up taking that one. I forget what the score is again, but that one was much more in my favor.
Nice job, man. Well done on your win.
There you go.
You're welcome. Karl, I have a good idea who you played round 4.
Who did I play round 4? I don't remember.
I think you played Skill in round 4.
I did indeed.
I remember joking with him as we were kind of walking up. It's like, I'm like, man, you got Bryan like round 1 and that kind of sucked, but you're doing good. He's like, you've run 2 games, you're 1 down, like you're in a pretty good spot, man. He's like, yeah, and then it just says Karl and Skill, and it's like, oh Jesus.
Yeah.
I kind of looked away.
He scored a bit.
Oh yeah.
He scored, I think it was like 33-2. So he scored something. Yeah, like he was running the default Lineage High. Well, it was a slightly worse version of the Lineage High board. It had Siegebreaker. I like Siegebreaker now, but he's better in Directorate. Other than that, similar to Ben's, which is the Lineage Highborn list, which means I'm very familiar with it. He made the mistake, I guess the problem for him was I'm so sorry, Bryan just said something really funny.
I did it with my texting ability. That's not even. Move on.
Oh no! I was laughing too hard.
More personal anecdotes.
It was exactly. It was funny out of nowhere. Anyways, I know his list better than he does, which is unfortunate for him. He kind of just fed me his pieces one by one, so I got to gobble up an Avatara and an Onslaught and a Strix before any of his actual threats were actually engaged. He split his Lineage Highborn and Sense away from everything else, which is a not good thing to do in that matchup, because it basically it let me build a kill box for it, and that's just not good. I was able to again, he deployed it on the complete opposite side of the board from everything else in his list, so I just skirted over. Kind of baited his Highborn charge on my Force-Grown drones. They ate it and barely survived. And then I took him down with Marksman clones over 2 turns, because that Great Virulence will just kind of melt that unit. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I baited that out, and then I just kind of cleaned him up. Dealt with everything else, and then scored out.
What round were you done at, and you just scored out at?
It was like, so he lasted a little bit longer because my brute drones had to run to the other side of the board to kill his Siegebreaker. So it was like 6.
Yeah,
I think the sense came in on 3. They charged the drones on 4. They charged the force drone or the brute drones on 4. They charged the force drones on 5. They died on 6. So it was 7. And then my brute drones killed his siegebreaker on 7, and then he was dead.
That's not
But
bad.
he didn't really have a way to deal with my Strix, so he lost a lot to that. My Incarnate Sentinels kind of baited an entire flank against his marksmen, vanguards, and siegebreaker. They killed his vanguard, died to the siegebreaker, but they pulled his marksmen out of the game until my Strix were able to clean up the center and then just run into their flank. But all around, like, he played well. He caught himself and stopped himself from making a huge mistake with his highborn block, which I was very proud of him for, because he almost ran it into my drones and then he almost ran it into my force grown drones and let them get flanked charged by brute drones after being lethargied, and then he would eat the hose from the marksman, and he would have just lost the unit that turn.
Yeah, no, that's smart on him. I remember you guys being done quick. I know. I remember round 4, Peter was like done early on, and he was like waving at me, and so now I'm like looking around, and it's like you guys were wrapped up pretty quick. It seemed.
Yeah. Well, Leo scared the shit out of me because he came and said 5 minutes left when we had 35 left,
I do
and that
remember
was
that.
because strike the schedule versus victory points. We'll get to that in the next round.
Yeah, where it really matters. Well done in your win. Did you had an after game talk with Skillin, if I recall? Because I know after I went over and saw him, he was like, "Oh, it was a great game," and he was really happy to just like talk shop with you and like really break down Spires. Like he really appreciated
100%.
that. So I really appreciate when strong players, people who really know the game, are really willing to just talk shop about it, because people want to learn and know how to get good, and just talking about it and answering questions and figuring it out really helps with that.
Yeah, we knew from the beginning with Skillin, like, he actually knew what he was talking about when he was talking basic shop with Spires, and if he understands the basics, then he can start working on the more complicated stuff with them, and so we're always happy, because I like people who can beat me. I'll get a little salty in the moment when it happens, but I like playing people who can beat me, because it's really boring to Seal Club.
It's boring to win. I remember when you shot a message on Reddit to me where you were like, you only show your wins, and I'm like,
I was roasting you, because that was like right after I'd beaten you with the 100k goblin list.
Yeah, and like, I think there's like at least a month backlog on videos, so it's kind of like, hey, it'll come out my loss, like, Jesus. No, I do enjoy getting games in with you, though. Well done on round 4. So, round 5. Steve, who'd you play? And I don't even remember what we were on. We were on... No, we were on the one with objectives. I think it was like Dugout.
This is Breakout. So I played Yojimbo, who is semi-local. He's on kind of the southwest side of Michigan. So occasionally we like see each other at Karl and Matt's store when they have events. I think this is the first time I actually played that I can remember, but he also had Old Dominion, and incidentally, he had almost the same list.
I remember this game.
It was like we wore the same hat, just we had a different colored feather in our hats. So that was interesting. It ended up being 19 to 18, I think. Or it was like a 1 point difference, whatever it was ultimately. But I very narrowly squeaked out ahead in that, just because I don't quite understand the rationale, but I think he sent his 5 block of Praetorians with the Stratios onto my right objective. And I went into the center because I figured, well, cool, once I take center and just get the objective marker off that, I'll just start scoring. And by the time that happens, it'll probably be right when that starts scoring for like double points. So that's going to be cool. It worked. It was a clusterfuck. I think I had 2 units of bone golems, his 2 units of 5 bone golems coming at me in the center. One of them trying to get at the objective, the other kind of being caught up by the fact that the bone golems were now engaged with the objective. I was kind of near some impassable terrain, kind of angled in a weird way, so he wasn't really able to wheel the other golems in to engage until the objective was clear and he could move out of the way. I had my other golems go into his golems, and we just kind of had this sick, sad golem, Aura of Death, nightmare, misery, blood, hell, grind down, hate fest in the middle of the board. I think we had like both of our higher deacon MSC Legionnaires meet at the left objective and just kind of have a little slap fight with each other. It was a weird one. It was the typical OD mirror match, but this time a little more mirror than I was comfortable with.
I remember walking by your table, and it just seemed like you guys had been locked in a grind for like the last 2 hours, and nothing was moving.
I don't. So I think it was still early, but let me see if I can just post a picture that you can put up at some point if you want. That's about the long and short of it. If you want to.
No, it's
Move on to one of the other games, but
I will. But like, good job on your win though, like squeaking it out there. Well done, man.
God, this was such a mess.
Yeah, I remember looking over and being like, "What the fuck is going on over there?"
Like literally, the difference was I had 6 stands of Praetorians, he had 5, and I think that allowed him to have like I think an Optio on one MSU of Legionnaires, and Kenotaph on another, and I think he'd had Devoted to Hasley instead of the Mitre on his Archimandrite, and that was pretty much it, with maybe a bit of point shuffling, but yeah, it was kind of like, huh, interesting.
I think the worst part about this whole is like, this is a great photo, just everything on the table, was that I think it was like round 7 or 8, and you guys still had like everything on the table. Like there's still a ton of regiments, not much had died, and it was like, what the fuck is happening?
So on my left side, I did punch through, so I was able to move enough of my Legionnaires that he was kind enough to kill, so I could have the golems squeak by them and pass that impassable, get into his golems that were now locked in with his objective. The Praetorians were just kind of doing their thing. I think I just left his Praetorian brick alone, because at that point it's like, okay, if you leave, you stop scoring, so that's not quite worth it. But yeah, no, the OD mirror match is rough, because it's like, cool, are you tier 2 yet? No. Can you inspire yet? No. Cool, I hit you. I'm Clash 2, I hit you twice. Cool, I take one of those, no resolve. Okay, great, back to me. Great. And that it's just that until like eventually something gets hit enough by accident that like, oh, you accidentally hit tier 3 or something. It's like, cool, now I'm always inspired. Now something might happen. Oh, you still don't take resolve. Great.
Literal hell world.
This is what you get, Parabellum, for making OD good. Just grinding.
I was shocked I only went up against one old Dominion player. This was the secret to my success at Adepticon was dodging all this, like dodging the mirror matches and dodging all the people with a bunch of Ash and Dawn and dodging Karl, Chuck, Bryan. Like I was tickled. That was great. That
Honestly, the 0-1 bracket is a very safe place to hang out, and then just kind of rise up. I mean, like we had, there was definitely a 3-0 who. I'm surprised. There was a 3-0 on day 1 who went 3-3, and
was it?
I'm not. No, it was. It was actually by round 5, and like he was very nice, but he was self-admittedly new to the game, and he definitely like you can stumble through day 1 playing against mediocre opponents, but once you get to day 2, that's when you start fighting like very good players, and that's when it starts to weed itself out. That's not implying that Mathew got weeded out. He had a very tough matchup.
Hey, he made 3-0 round 1. He's going into round 4 strong.
Well, I just said that 3-0 round 1 doesn't mean that much, but
yeah. I lost by 3 points, Karl. Okay.
Yeah, no, I know. Like he both of his losses were extremely close, and he did. I love him, but he did much better than I expected him to. Just because I was down on Wadroon, and he found the combo that I missed, and I'm very impressed with that.
Combo. I just played what I wanted.
Just tell him
the combo was bringing 2 Apex Predators.
You brought the thing that got buffs.
Honestly, yeah.
Imagine if I had brought 4.
Should have. Could have won the whole thing.
I was tempted. Bro.
You would have sold so many starter sets.
I would have.
Who's next for round 5?
I believe Kang, are you up for round 5? We finished Steve.
Yeah.
Save us, Matt. Save us.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I definitely shall attempt to. I also had a mirror match. I played against Neil, who's Iron Eyes. I don't know his tag on the Parabellum Discord, and I vaguely think I have played him before last Adepticon in another mirror match where we had 6 apexes on the board. But I can't rightly say, and I feel bad for imagining or even possibly forgetting playing Neil. But his list was very close to mine. He traded some stuff out to have a Scion with a unit of cock, and like that was great and all, but like he didn't really change much. The block of Braves was just much smaller. It was like a 4 stand with a queen, or a 5 stand. And he also had the slinger block, which it was really weird seeing that across the table for once, because no one else and locally brings it really. We played, well, it was Breakout, right? The one with the 2 objectives in the middle. Yeah. Oh, Redemption. I have a small history with Breakout. You can learn about that later. But the game developed, we like mirrored our deployments a little bit, not like 1 for 1, but like his slingers came on, my slingers came on, slightly on the other side of the board in the other half. And then my hunters came on, his hunters came on. Exact same, just crisscross across the board. I think the mistake that first gave like a win to me was he started focusing on the objective while I went after his hunters and started going after his hunting pack that were going after the objective. Once they were removed, I felt like I was just free to do whatever I want. I held on
Free to do whoever you want. Sorry.
Do whatever I want and whoever I want. There was a whole bunch of woods. We were hidden in the trees.
Oh God.
Middle school stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But I owned the right side of the board. He owned the left side. If you're looking at it from my perspective, he brought his brave block onto the right side to try and fight the 3 regiments I had over there. I brought my dinosaurs down the middle. He brought his dinosaurs down the middle. He brought his cock onto the left side. I ignored the left side, except for 1 apex that went.
Poor guy.
Yeah, pretty much. Let me tell you though, ignoring cock is really good for your game plan. Okay.
Not good for his
It
ego,
feels
though.
good. Like
Not good for his self-esteem.
Man, if
it makes you feel powerful.
if the cock don't get the chant off though, you can really smack the shit out of them.
You definitely can. Like it was a big 5er, but like it wasn't that great. And Apex just kind of chomped down on it. But as the game progressed, I cleared my half of the objective marker on the center objective. I just moved my brave block forward into the left side of the board, and his slingers just kept backing up and getting torrential after torrential after torrential. It was like 4 turns of torrential fire into them, and I'm just like, God, fucking stop. I know exactly how everyone else feels now. So like, and then the dinosaurs came on and started fighting each other. The Tauntors charged my brave block in the side. I charged an apex at the Tauntor. He charged an apex at my apex. I charged a Tauntor at his apex. It was just a mess. But my Tauntor was sitting on the center point the entire time. So I ended up proving myself the apex predator against the other 3-1 Wadroon player. So there we go. I won by like 15 points or something like that.
Nice job, man. Well done.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome. Brian, did you play anyone decent for round 5?
My opponent was trash.
Good. I know.
Fucking sucked. No, I played Mass. Mass was my opponent.
Oh, so he's being truthful.
Yeah, no. Fuck, got the shit kicked out of me.
God damn.
Do you want to tell it?
I mean, yeah, I'll tell it. Why not?
Well, The,
You had your video. You
yeah.
told your side of the story.
I know where my mistakes are.
Yeah, that was a fun game because Maz is the man, as we all know. We're sitting here with the podcast, so it's a fun opponent. But I could see like the knowledge dawning of the bullshit Dwight could still pull on his face the entire game, and there's some satisfaction to that. But long story short, what fucking scenario was it? You guys been talking about it this whole time. I don't even know what goddamn scenario.
The one with objectives in the middle.
Oh, Breakout, right? Yeah, Breakout. That's it. Yeah, with the markers in there. Hey, Ballistay are really good at clearing markers, guys.
Hey, we brought it back.
We brought it back. It's all in a recursion. Yeah, so Ballistay, actually, my Ballistay showed up late that game. They didn't even fucking crack that shit. It was my Flame Berserkers that cracked it anyway. Oh, God. Anyway. Yeah, so Flame Berserkers up the middle, the Tenacious block, and there was like a piece of impassable on my right to the middle of that, to that midfield objective. So the other Zerker block kind of ended up playing this refused flank angle to it. I was planning on being a little more aggressive there, but Mass committed the Ashen Dawn to the middle and the other Zerker block's flank. And what opened up the further flank that let me kind of just like focus over there instead and play refused with the other Zerker block was he pushed forward a little bit too far with his Sealed Temple. And not only did he catch the Fireforge reinforcement from the side blasting at them, but he also caught the 16-inch Pyroclast bullshit from beyond the building.
You snuck around the building and touched me, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. That was a dirty one. So, and of course the other Drake could just arc off of that. So 8 Pyro hits, a bunch of Fireforge hits. I think that thing was down to 1 stand. The next turn it tried to run away, and then it got shot in the ass.
Yeah.
And that was that. Yeah. So at that point he only had the Household Knights. Yeah, 2 Household Knights units, right?
Yep.
Over there left, yeah. So 2 Fireforge stacked one right behind the other. Going to be able to handle that, especially because he had to charge through hindering terrain. Yeah. So the red packs didn't do anything, and yeah. So once I was like, all right, I'm going to be able to win that flank. I have no reason, having learned from the getting Huckle smashed in round 2, to push any further with the Berserkers here. I'm already holding the middle, so my Berserkers on the right flank kind of just started to sit tight and stay back. And I remember seeing the look on your face when you saw me do that, and you realized what position you were in now.
Yeah,
because now you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Sorry, what?
No, I was fucked at that point.
What was the position? Face up? Or no, face down, ass up?
Almost face down, ass up. It gets more there in like the next 2 turns.
Well, you look at those dragon cannons and picture that imagery. Anyway.
I don't want to.
Yeah, so he was basically left with the choice of, do I leave the point with my 1 scoring unit, which is these Ashen Dawn, to kind of turn this flank and push through and kill the Drakes, or do I sit here and score for the rest of the game? And since he was losing the other flank, his slight score advantage wasn't going to matter. And eventually he made the right call to push forward and try to take that block. But by then it was too late. I think we spent like a turn or 2 maneuvering that before you finally made that move.
You kept running away.
Yeah. I'm shuffling back. I'm shuffling left and right. I'm reforming it. I'm making it as not good a charge every single time as I possibly can. Like, they started out like a few inches away from the flank of my Hellbringer Drake. By the end of all their movements, they were like touching up on it from backing up so much. So, I played it that way. The Ashen Dawn crashed into the middle and got shot by all the guns. Fireforce eventually pushed up the other flank. And that's all she wrote. I think that game was. I also don't remember the score of that game. I barely ever remember scores. I play fucking Dwight.
You got like 45 to like my 15.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds right.
Turns. I think I lived to like turn 6. No, probably 7, and it was just kind of like Mountain Squires and Ashdon fighting on your side of the table out of everything, and you're just scoring stuff, and you just like wipe them out, and then just ran in, and we just mapped it out, and I was like, "Yep, good game." No, but we talked about that one where you, where I committed too many points towards your Flame Berserkers, and you were just, like, making me chase, spending way too many points and chasing less points, so I was just losing out on work, and as I chased, I later took those same lessons and applied it to my next game, and did very well.
Yeah. So measuring how much you spend to or plan to spend on each flank to break it, and how you plan to do that is a big part of it for sure.
Yeah, no, it was a really good lesson to learn. I'm also glad we talked about that and really went over it, because it just helped me be better and like understand why I lost and move forward from that.
Yeah, and that's what makes the game good, right?
Mhm.
Like, we're about to hear about the hilarity of my failure into Karl next round.
Yeah.
But as bad as the dice were, there was a series of decisions there that I can look back on now and say, oh, well,
Yeah, no,
lesson learned.
I always remember you're just double deploy both mounted squires on one side and just make a long sweep or whatever, and it's yeah. And I probably should have been doing that more often in my other games, looking back on it, especially I think my round 2, I should have done that. And that would have helped me into the old Dominion matchup, and I could have got into some Curies with mounted squires and ripped them apart.
Yeah, I actually remember playing into Karl when he was first trying to really get his bearings with Strix. He would go in for that pincer, and in some situations that's maybe the right call, but generally speaking, units want to act in tandem because there's just more options there, and it's harder for your opponent to move into them. 2 Strix are much harder to handle than one at a time.
Yeah,
for that, mounted squires are the same thing.
Yeah, and because they're so fast, you can accidentally just lose them because you just shoot them up really fast. Your opponent eats it, and then okay, well next turn you're now looking for a supremacy roll. They gotta really be threatening at the same time.
And it's by playing that tightly that you reduce the problem of those supremacy rolls, right?
Yeah.
Because now you have an answer. So yeah.
No, it was a really good game. Thank you very much.
Good game, sir.
Good game to you. Karl, strength of schedule, it's round 5. You want to do your game first, or do you want to complain about strength of schedule?
Game. So
Okay.
I played a very nice OD player who was running a Fallen Divinity list, but he was self-admittedly rather new. He went 3-0 on day 1, and then played Chuck. Chuck sniped out his Fallen Divinity before it hit tier 3, so he played her very cautious into me, and this was Breakout. So I did my typical... Well, I had more light cards, so I stalled my drone block, because I just want to catapult that shit into the Praetorians, because it's funny and it'll tie them up. Also, his Praetorian block didn't have Tenacious or Untouchable, so I actually just melt him with AOD.
Did he have AOD?
Yes, he did, but I can stall longer than he can, because I have more cards, and I can also shoot him, so...
And do regen.
Yeah, exactly. So I win that fight pretty handily. Steve can attest to that. Even when they do have Untouchable, I usually win that fight into the Praetorians, just because they can't go shields up, or they can't go Bastion up before. But either way, he boxed himself in to a quarter of his deployment zone because he was so afraid of me reaching out and killing the divinity early. So what ended up happening was I dealt with a very scary divinity, but it was literally after I tabled the rest of his entire army. So I basically just shoved in. I tossed a bound clone on the 1 point from the flank he completely abandoned, and then just kind of collapsed in on him, used my marksman clones to hose. Killed his Praetorians and his Hybrodeacon, killed his Brutes, and then just... my drone block died eventually to the Divinity, but, they could actually tank her for a few turns, even at tier 3, so... I basically just boxed him out. The final score was 77-0.
Let him get 1 point, Karl.
Jesus,
Brutal.
dude.
Calm down.
Warcrafts.
So, so Parabellum Tournament requires you to use Strength of Schedule, or requires you to use victory points instead of Strength of Schedule, which has some upsides and downsides. I will say the limited upsides is it gives the player more direct control of their placing, because I have had local tournaments where I have been matched into players round 1 who I know are going to go O and X. And it sucks because I know I'm getting nothing for them from strength of schedule. So if I happen to catch a loss to Chuck, which can happen on occasion, I just know that I'm not even going to clear second or third place, even if I only lose to the undefeated, because my SOS is going to be terrible for my other games. The downside being it encourages you to start punching and not stop. I didn't score anything on turn 2. But I scored everything on turn 3. I used my Strix and a Brute Drone March Charge to kill the marker or the center marker on 3. And then I just scored out for the game while I pushed everything in. And if I had let him get a point, it would have involved losing my own points. And at this point, I had a loss to Chuck, which means the best I was going to go was X1, and I wanted to make sure that I was the top X1 in the tournament, so I could get that second place and stop the universe from collapsing.
Thank God that happened.
It worked. Yeah, it worked, but I did feel a little bad at the end because, you know, he tried his best. He played the Fallen Divinity very carefully, which was probably the right call because I would have sniped her out with Marksman and Strix, but at a lower tier. But at the end of the day, he trapped himself, and then he couldn't get out of it because my drone block just didn't die until the Divinity hit tier 3. And I did end up with the most victory points in the entire tournament by a significant margin. I think I was almost 300 over Chuck by the end.
Damn.
Something like that. If I got to throw something in here, after round 5, we actually had a single undefeated.
Yes, and then the app made us play.
Yeah.
Yes, so it would have been Chuck, Karl, and then me. Because Chuck had just finished playing Huckleberry Smash.
And won.
And it was a very close game from what I remember hearing. Like, I was talking to Chuck, and he said that he really appreciated Leo being there and coming and telling him that they played a really clean game. I just want to say that because Chuck's not here right now. He really appreciated Leo and Rolo, Dan, for like POing and just being great about their game. So yeah, just wanted to throw that in there. So then
They loved it enough that they forced them round 6 to see.
They want to see him play some more.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
No, it's I do like Rolo as head judge or Dan. I would just shout out Rolo because it's just how I know him. He was fantastic for rulings and everything. Like, huge shout out to Rolo for being the head judge of that event.
Yeah, it was wonderful. I really loved it. The second year at Adepticon and Rolo's second time running it, and it was great.
Yeah, he did a really good job. Steve, you sadly now have to play round 6 because the app forced us to.
This is true.
Do you want to talk about round 6?
Round 6 was Melee. I played, I think it was Stockbert Wadroon. Really feeling pretty good about that because, oh boy, would you in a kill point scenario against a bunch of Aura of Death? What could go wrong? My dice for one. I think I won a single supremacy roll that entire game. So just a lot of cool. You're taking 3 AOD per stand instead of like 4 or 5. Cool. My Praetorians are just eating extra hits because I'm not bastioning up. I think basically on my right side on that big 3-point objective, I don't remember if they stuck Chosen or Veteran. I think it was Veteran block there, but they stuck something there, and basically they never left because that was scoring 3 points. And I think there were a few times where they're kind of like, I could attack this unit. And it's kind of like I was secretly being a little shitty, kind of like, do it, please do it. And it's like, I think like all of a sudden the light bulb went off, and it's like 2 points versus 3 points plus holding 2 zones, not worth it. And I'm just like, damn it. Big clusterfuck in the middle. I think that we had something like I had Canifores, 2 or 3 units of Legionnaires, and I think some Bone Golems meeting. I don't remember. Does anyone remember if it was fuck, what was it? Maybe it was the Chosen. It wasn't veterans because there was a
blooded blocks.
Well, so the blooded matriarch was there, kind of off to the side, but kind of got blocked in by all the stuff happening in the middle, and then also some impassable terrain. And eventually, that was repositioned to go meet my left flank, where I had bone golems and Praetorian Guard and stuff, just kind of grinding things down. That just became a huge quagmire. Also had the Tantor on that side, but in the middle, basically, I tried to box in the Apex. Things got a little weird because I thought that I march charged with the bone golems into the blooded, thinking that the Apex was kind of basically right behind them, and I thought that the Apex had like a corner of its base just kind of angled behind them because it was trying to get as close as possible so it could, if winning supremacy, charge my legionnaires and just kind of blow through and collapse that whole middle of the table. So I thought I was pinning in the Apex. Well, then there was kind of some weird little disagreement about, oh, well, no, the Apex was positioned where it can just kind of like wheel and do a corner-to-corner charge into the bone golems, and we kind of had a little back and forth on that. And in the interest of time, which would eventually become a big issue, we just kind of went with, okay, fine, like Apex charges, whatever. But I wouldn't have done that if I thought the Apex could escape, and I thought it was tying it up. But basically, ultimately, they ground down the blooded, they ground down, or what Chosen, whatever was there in the middle. Apex eventually died. I had both of the middle points, I think. Couldn't quite shift the blooded with the Matriarch Queen and the Tantor. I think that stupid Tantor survived like a bunch of AOD and Golem bombs and Praetorian bombs and whatnot from AOD, and I think 2 or 3 times it survived with like 1 hit point left, and the Queen just kind of is there. It's like, cool, you're healed. That's like, felt like fucking Looney Tunes shit where, you just throw all the shit and there's a big smoke cloud, and then, you're trying to kill Droopy or something, and then the smoke clears, just hello, bub. And it's like, no, motherfucker, God, just die already. But yeah, unfortunately, because, a bunch of big origin dinosaurs and a bunch of bone golems, and we're at an end table, so there were a lot of instances where people just kind of, rolled up and were kind of talking with us. And at the time, I'm like, oh boy, I love talking about the game more than playing. Like, it's my favorite part of the thing, is seeing people excited about the game and being able to geek out about it. But then at the very end, where it's, okay, basically tying the game 56-56 because they were able to kind of just, like, start the next round, and cool, let's just roll for the, see if I can kill your one stand of bone golems to tie the game, and rolling just as dice down was being called. Kind of like, oh.
Well, didn't he roll before Supremacy was even called?
I don't quite remember. Everything was going real fucking fast. I think I was doing something with the Archimandrite, and then I think...
Yeah, like, it was a confusing thing to watch. We were right there and just kind of chatting and watching it happen, and then all of a sudden dice were being rolled, but...
Yeah, it was a mess because we were rushing. We were getting pretty sweaty. Admittedly, I was just kind of trying to rush the points myself. So it was whatever it was. It was basically really close. Like, if I had a few more minutes, maybe I could have pushed through the enough of the blooded on that left side zone to like just kind of outscore on the objective. But even then, it would have been by like 2 or 3 points. So overall, it was still a fairly close game, regardless. But there was that little bit of part of me where it was like, okay, I came in 5th, pretty happy. Normally, I'm circling the drain at the bottom, but then I kind of went like, oh, if I had gone 5-0, I would have had like 2 or 3 more points than the guy that came in 4th, and I could have been 4th. But
that would have been nice.
I'll take 5th. Like I said, normally it's like you got to scroll way to the bottom to get to me normally.
It's a very, we're proud of you for making that top 5 showing.
Well done, man.
Oh yeah, Steve.
Good job.
Took a lot of ass kickings to get there.
Nice job.
With more to come.
Yeah.
Do we want to do Matt? Yeah, well, I guess Matt's next, and then Bryan and I can just talk about that travesty.
Yeah. Mathew. King.
Yeah.
How'd you do? How was your round 6?
I want to preface this. I fought Chuck.
Yeah?
You denied me my victory.
I had to fight the universe. Okay.
So how'd it go?
If I had won, Karl would have been in first place. And I think I would have been in second.
Yes.
So, that was heavy on my mind, actually, throughout this entire thing. I have been gunning for Chuck forever because every time we play, I'm not even joking, it feels so weird to just constantly lose to him. He's a wonderful, amazing, better player than me, I'm pretty sure. I don't think I'm ever going to be better than Chuck. But I have had him on the ropes and just by the nose hairs of that bald man so many times. So this felt like the time to get my vengeance and feel vindication. And I'll tell you, up to round 6, I was hammering him. He played Nords. We've seen his list and everything. I just went immediately aggressive. Everything was. I had Hunters and a Apex Predator on his side of the board, turn 4, and holding down like 3 other units on top of his side 6-inch objective. What really kind of messed me up was I made 2 big mistakes. On the left flank, I had an Apex Predator and a Tauntaur. They were going against some Uger and some Huskarls. I brought the Apex Predator in on turn 4, using my reinforcement line, which is really far up at this point, and I shot him onto the zone. And what I should have done was stay back like maybe 2 or 3 inches with that Apex instead of going all the way to the 16, because got excited. Because what happens later in the turn is that Tauntaur charged up into the Huskarls and did not kill them, but it put the Tauntaur like 2 inches away from the apex, not allowing it to wheel if it wanted to move next turn. So that stopped it from being able to charge into Huskarls after it gets charged and kills some Uger with just a regular clash. That was my first mistake, which I'm pretty sure cost me the game, actually. The other mistake that I shouldn't say angry, but very salty about, because I had very little control over it, was on the right side of the board, where I had my A Queen with a Brave block, just marching up the board, and jumping on that point to hold it, because I knew there was going to be 2 giants coming at me. I saw them. They were just going to march over, start shooting and throwing ice at me. I'm like, okay, I need to march to position myself. I do my Bloodlust roll. Roll a 6. Okay, that's not too bad. I don't have to charge, but I have to move all the way forward. What that did is there was a piece of impassable terrain that was 2 little stone faces. You can see them in Steve's picture that he's posted in the Discord. There were 2 of those sitting on the corner of the far right 9-inch zone. What that did is it shoved my Brave block into like that little nook where they had a little corner between the 2. So that wasn't a huge deal. I was like, all right, next activation, next turn, I'll just march them to the side slightly so I can just reposition. Come next turn, what happens is I roll for that Bloodlust, and I get another 6 and I'm forced to charge. But we had to call Leo over, and Leo was like, you can't charge, so it's a failed charge, but you have to move. So you have to march to the side your full march. Which what happens is it pushes me off the objective with 2 of my stands, leaving only 6 on the objective. And then leaving me open. Go on, Karl.
I was going to say, but you're kind of a hero, because I think this game was actually the nail in the coffin that Leo was like, okay, Bloodlust has to change.
Yeah. But what that did is it also left me open, because it was counted as a failed charge, so it got rid of my last action. I couldn't compensate. I couldn't do anything about it. So then Chuck brings in both the Ice Yatnar and the Sea Yatnar, and now I no longer have the point, and he's just wailing on me with 2 giants. And I kept fighting, but those 2 mistakes ended up costing me the game. And I was really salty about it at the end, and I felt like I lost outside of my control, but I know at the same time it was my fault. even with the universe against me. So there we go. Yes. It was still a really fun game, and I love playing Chuck, but I didn't get my vengeance.
Can I say one thing?
Feel free, Mass. This is your podcast.
That was a beautiful story, but also you contained SCP-002 before breach containment, so I'm very proud of you, even this was a loss.
Yes, I suppose I did.
Thank you for
Even
your
though I
sacrifice.
Even though I was looking to set him free.
He can never breach containment. He's gonna go to Worlds and still end up second. Just watch.
I hope not. I want him to win Worlds.
That's his first golden fish gnome. He gets the biggest golden fish gnome.
Yes.
Indeed.
But
That would feel
lesson-
somehow fitting.
A lesson to share is just enjoy the game and have the game designer there to see the fuck up that is Bloodlust and have it immediately changed.
It's such a bad rule.
Yeah, I'm glad it got
Like-
discussed after the whole event on Sunday. And
Yeah, there's no
Me too.
redeeming that rule.
What, you guys don't like your unit just doing what you don't want it to do randomly on a roll?
But-
Turns out, no.
I think that's fun.
but it
And
can,
then also fucking you while it's doing it. Like, not only is it not doing what you want it to do, it's also like, oh, by the way, I'm going to fail this charge, just spread my ass open wide for the unit that's just right there that I
No,
missed by an inch, and now I'm just going to die.
Like,
You know, it
the
wouldn't have been-
hands pulling it open, yeah.
It wouldn't have been so bad. No, you're fine, Brian. If the queen, like, she's already got Resolve 4, and I've got an 8 stand unit of Braves. She's effectively like Resolve 7 or 8. Failing on a 6? Excuse me? What?
Yeah,
It happened like twice a game. Or
Yeah,
no,
even-
3 times a game.
Yeah, just even if you're fully kitted out with like a super resolve heavy character and a big old block, it's like, nah, you still got like a 16% chance of just eating it.
Yeah, that's the problem with... Well, that's why SK were even worse, because those elementals would literally fail Bloodlust more than once per turn when they were triple activating.
I think they were like
Yeah.
Resolve 2 or 3, and it just like completely
Resolve
fucks them.
3.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah,
like, okay, come on. This is
and
an
then all-
embarrassment.
And then all the characters were resolve 3. And I think just the extra little cherry turd on top was when they were like, so the Raj is March 5? Like, I thought we fixed the whole character thing. Like, and then I think it was Reese came in and was like, no, that's kind of for balancing purposes. It's like,
We
How?
talked about it
That
like
just-
5 fucking
like,
times.
it's like that just made them even worse. Like, the one thing that might have saved them, putting the Raj in there so they can get like molten blades or something in the extra activation and combustion, conflagration, like get the free molten blades cast. And it's like, no, they're March 5 Bloodlust now. Have fun with that. It's like,
Yeah, there you go.
Why do you hate us?
Yeah,
I I will say that during the round table I pled, I wanted the Mistress back as an upgrade for Braves to just remove Bloodlust. It's the 20-point upgrade, but I'm happy with the change. So
Yeah.
I'll take that instead of my
Um,
big mommy with a whip.
I don't know. We could have had it so much better, I feel like.
We could have.
the Bound Mistress, is that it?
Yeah, the old bound mistress.
you know what?
Bring her back.
There's always sub-faction expansions. Let them
There
cook.
is.
Yeah.
Let him
Bring out
cook.
the freak sub faction.
They already wear nothing but leather, okay?
Where do you think they got it? Brian or Carl, which one of you two gentlemen would like to go first for your round 6?
I'll let Brian do this one.
Yeah, the tragedy is from my point of view anyway, so I might as well fucking take the helm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, so I actually kind of wish that, like, if I weren't in the throes of the horrible tilting, that we had, like, measured some things. Because I'm not actually... Because there's an interesting give and take with the decision that I had made. Beyond the obvious. That's going to end up costing it. So we set up into this fight. I actually think I have a pretty decent deployment setup going into this for once. His Strix pushed up kind of basically straight up the middle of the board. And I was playing towards the far left flank middle objective, and of course the one closer to my side, it's melee, with both the Zerker blocks. I've got the Drake all the way to the left, kind of circling around a piece of impassable. The other Drake's on the right side. and the 2 Fire Force and the Ballista are kind of shoring up my right. Yeah, both the Strix, like the first Strix units, the first Strix unit pushed forward, got a good bit of shots into it. It had to fall back, go the other way. I was pretty happy about that. And he played very aggressively with the force-grown drone block, as he always does, and basically set up where on a prio, one of us is going to charge the other with a block or with the Zerker block or the force-grown drone block. I managed to win the prio, so the Zerker block got the first charge into that, which is great for me. I get to avoid AOD and get some damage in there. I actually rolled like shit on that roll, which is never mattered eventually with the way this is about to go, but here or there. And he countered with Strix to the flank. Now my other Zerker block is sitting there waiting for that Strix going into the flank, because that was his only counterplay into my Zerker charge. And I was like, all right, I'll be able to push up with the Zerker block there and counter that in turn. I had Ballista sitting right in front of that Zerker block to ward off his other Strix unit charging that block and gumming it up. I couldn't have that. I needed them to be able to move up and support the first block and to be able to move on from there, right? So the Ballista are in the way, they do their job, that Strix unit goes away. Drakes are on the board, yada yada yada. Karl actually gets a little cocky with his freaking marksman clones. He jumps them forward in front of his brute drones to get a Did you grab virulence on that one? Or was that
I great virulence them and leap them forward because I was going to start putting wounds on the non-tenacious block. Just because
that was the tenacious block.
But you had the blocks separate, and the thing I found that if I can split the blocks, that's where the damage comes in. So the drones were positioned in a spot where they just weren't. You weren't going to be able to charge them with multiple Zerkers, which is exactly where I need them.
Yeah.
And then, so I just wanted to start putting the hits on the other one. So I leapfrogged them forward, and did they kill a stand?
They killed Ace. I think they did 6 wounds.
Yeah, like I was I rolled like 20 hits with great virulence. It was actually a very good roll, and then he sank it down to 15, and then rolled very well, and then tenacious a deadly, which, as we talked about, was a very good way to use tenacious. Yeah. In fact, probably the best.
Yeah, really good roll. Excuse me. So that happens, and now his marksmen are actually pretty far forward, all things considered. So it goes down to the moment, and I'm looking at the Strix block, and the Strix MSU that's in the flank of my Zerkers, so they're coming towards me a little bit along that perpendicular. And I'm thinking, all right. I'm laughing now. It was horrible at the time. I'm thinking, I don't want to take any more lethal demise than I absolutely have to. Going back to Karl's point, or with another game against the other guy, right? So let me, because every wound that I'm going to die by 1,000 cuts, these Zerker blocks. So if I can get rid of a few of those cuts and keep them alive for as much as possible, all the better. So I'm like, all right, let me go ahead and power class this this Strix unit, and take it down a little bit so that's less lethal damage coming back my way. I do that, picks up a stand. Well, what was a guaranteed charge was suddenly now a 3-up rerollable, which is still decent odds, right? So I roll a 1 and a 2. And because the fucking Ballista block is right in front of my Zerkers, they both break right there on the spot. The thing I was thinking about, I kind of wish I had measured more, was like that extra 2.5 inches actually brings me closer to your marksman clones. So like if I had actually made that charge, they're that much more in danger. I want to know what that measurement actually was.
I know,
like, with that 2.5 difference.
I realized, because I was hoping to do 2 stands to like chop them down to the point where brutes would be able to just tear them to shreds. So I think you were basically just in on a march charge to the marksman, and that's all you have to do.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think that was even with the 2.5 inches, I think I would have been okay with the march charge, or at least it would have been damn close.
Yeah.
So yeah, I failed that fucking rerollable. Which is already like a death knell for the list because the one block is about to get AOD 20'd or whatever. I think you had like 6 stands on him at that point, so it was AOD 20.
Yeah, I had 6 stands on him, and I think you'd blown a lot of tokens to turn off the marksman for a turn.
Yeah, exactly. So it was already looking pretty bad there. Losing momentum like that for a turn is damn near killer for my list, and of course the breaking all over the place. So That wasn't great. The next turn, block fighting the Force-grown drones is holding on by a fucking thread. I'm already starting to get pushed and spread by the Spires nonsense everywhere. The marksman clones doing their thing. I go to try that free up rerollable again because again, I didn't actually move.
Strix are still there.
Right, the Strix are still there, and the fucking Zerker block didn't actually move from the failed charge the first time. They got on up on the ballistay. 3 up rerollable. I roll a 1 and a 2 again. So at that point, I kind of just want to like quit the fucking game, but we'll see what happens. But
at that point, it wouldn't have been crippling if he'd pulled that charge off because my brute drones would have. My warlord brute drone block was right behind the marksman. They would have been able to come in, and they can deal with the Zerkers pretty well.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was insult to injury because then there was no forward momentum, so I was basically able to just score out and advance at my leisure.
Yeah. So basically, like, the lesson here is, as much as failing a 3 up rerollable sucks, I think the odds are like 89%. Some fucking stupid shit. Yeah. As much as that sucks, I did actually ultimately do it to myself. Like, 4 automatic hits from that extra stand was worth the guaranteed charge. So don't be me, people. Don't be me. If you have guaranteed stuff, then you fucking take the guaranteed stuff. And like I said, like if that had actually landed, then it's down to Prio all of a sudden. Like if that fucking Zerker block march charges its marksman clones, that's not a good game for Karl. Yeah. It's not, like, especially because now his brute block is stuck up on the marksman and unable to do anything.
Well, I really like because it's like if he activates, he takes Aura of Death. If you activate, you just rip through them with Berserker. Like,
yeah,
you're in a really
he's stuck there for a turn too. Like the brute drones were right up on it. The Aura of Death is not likely to kill that marksman clone block, so they're actually kind of just stuck there.
Was that the breath unit? Was that the breath unit?
That was the breath unit, but it's only AOD 10.
Yeah, that's not quite enough to break them. But yeah, so I wouldn't be able to kill them off AOD and charge in with the brutes. But
yeah, so. Yeah, if that had landed, like, we found out because my Drakes put up, like, the most heroic fight I've ever seen into that fucking Force-grown drone block. Like, they almost handled it by themselves in melee.
Yeah, it was funny because one was in the front, one was in the rear. Because you double marched the one Drake, your Warlord, forward because you didn't realize my drones hadn't activated yet. And I was really confused, but I was like, okay, and I just reformed and flag charged you.
I mean, you let me do it, you let me think about it, and I decided to do it anyway because I wasn't winning where I was sitting. That at least gets me on the point, and it forces you to do that because otherwise I'm coming around for your meat in the middle. So I think I was going to do that anyway. But yeah,
it's like Moneyball. He gets on base.
Yeah, like that game was already lost. Like it didn't fucking matter at that point in any case. But yeah, they got in there. The fucking eruptions actually did some work. The Drakes smacking them around actually did some work. They were down to like a stand, I think, at one point before healing up. But the Strix, guess what? We're still fucking around hitting the Drakes. So yeah, it was a lost cause. But that matchup is already such a nightmare for Dweg that any small mistake like that can tip the balance. And that's what happened.
Well,
and Karl is obviously Karl, so any fucking mistake in that case as well.
He's taking you all the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, like after that failed charge, it was kind of a foregone conclusion. Like, my brute drones can play chicken with Fire Forged all day, and it was basically just collapsing inward. And even if the drone block had gone down to Hellbringers, the Hellbringers were pretty badly maimed, and they were just getting cleaned up by Strix.
Yeah.
Jesus. Fucking Strix. Being just a monster for Spires.
Yeah, they're good.
Well done on your win, Karl. Sorry to hear that, Bryan.
It's only the story of the last, like, fucking 6 months of my life.
Hey, you won LVO. Well, you
I know. I won it by dodging Karl, frankly. But I got like literally my only victory against Ben in so doing. So I'll take that moral win.
Yeah, you take that.
How you place first or third is just dodge Karl.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Fucking Matt and I actually, you all should be thanking us because we preserve the universe in the natural order. Like, I swear to God, like, I'm gonna spoil it right now, but I've already got like the meme made up in my mind where, like, if Karl takes first, like, I'm gonna get the Elder Scrolls thing where it's like, you've ruined you can choose to quit now or persist in this doomed world that you've created. Yeah.
Chains of fate have been severed.
It's a fate of a thank you. That's it.
It's Morrowind. It's like, oh fuck, I killed the boat guy. What the hell?
Oh, not the quest giver, no. Why didn't Obsidian make this game? No. Yeah.
Fuck.
So,
But yeah.
how Karl, I know you got second, so congratulations. Bryan, how'd you do on the rankings?
I think I ended up like 11th,
Ooh.
something like that. Yeah, I got knocked the fuck down. Like
The last game was 118-6.
What the
My-
fuck, man?
one of the things that Karl didn't bring up, I noticed in his discussion of Strike the Schedule, is that some factions just don't fight for victory points very well, and Dwagom is one of those factions. So that more than like I know I'm biased there, but that I think isn't more than enough reason to like switch over to Strike the Schedule. Like there's an inherent imbalance in that because like if I'm playing Nords, God's sakes, like I don't know how you get beat on any tiebreaker by victory points. Like even against Spires, like it's absolutely fucking disgusting. So yeah, like I didn't. The game against Karl, like if I had actually, even if Karl still beat me in the end, if I had made a game of that, like it would have been something different, but not that much different. You know what I mean? It would have been like a difference of 40 victory points. These guys had already reached up into 300s.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, I mean, my two losses were against the second and third place players. Like I can't really be that sad about that. So
No,
and I'm never sad losing against Karl or Andrew at this point. I don't think I've come to respect his play pretty well. So, yeah.
No,
That's the breaks.
did really good. Mathew, how'd you do in the rankings?
I got 7th.
Nice job.
My only losses were to first and third.
Damn.
Pretty good.
And Steve, you said I believe you had 5th?
5th somehow, yes.
Yeah, no, that's really good. Like, yeah, it was weird. Like, I got 8th, and I'm like, how the fuck did I get 8th?
You didn't get a second loss, Steve. So it counted as something else. It was a tie, right? Yeah, it was a tie.
Yep.
So I think
Ties
that counts
was
for
it.
more.
Did you have a draw?
Yeah, that 6th game basically by the dice down single stand golem kill that tied the game 56-56.
Jeez.
Yeah, that was the thing.
So if you had that as a win, you could have shot up. Probably.
Oh, yeah,
He would've
like
taken
I said, I would have taken 4th by like 3 victory points or something.
Oh my god.
Yep.
Well, still, well done on your 5th place, man.
Yeah, it's a new one for me. I've very stubbornly stuck with Old Dominion since they came out. I think I played like a few games with City States, but for the most part, all major events have just been Old Dominion, even when they've kind of been a bit down on their luck. So I'm not a bandwagon jumper. I've been here since the beginning. Everyone else is just a fair weather friend to the undead.
Your Longshanks record reflects that.
It's only
Okay, I can't tell if that was a roast or not, but wow.
Little column B. No, I will very openly admit that. Like, I'm actually very upset that Parabellum wouldn't let us use that for Longshanks because it's like I just want to go up and just get the top spot finally after like 2 fucking years. But literally, I have like I went from like a 23% win rate up to like a 35 or something now, but it's only my placing is like top 20 now, I think, or something, and that's only because I'm buoyed by strength of schedule from fighting Karl and Chuck every fucking game.
Yep.
Hey, did you dodge
Fuck
them
it.
this time?
Yeah, and then the one time when it's like, oh, I actually did kind of well, it's like, oh, and it's not counted on Longshanks, so I don't get my internet dick waving points.
You get your world's points.
Yeah.
This is true, I did.
I think you might have more world's points than Chuck, but
You got me excited because you're like, oh, Chuck doesn't really care, and I'm like, yeah, I heard that you're not really interested in the world, so I might actually like somehow have a shot. And he's like, who told you that shit? And I'm like, what? And he's like, I can go to Greece. It's like, oh fuck.
I thought I assumed because he was doing War Machine Worlds that he wasn't, but yeah, I talked
No,
about it, and now
yeah.
it's like, now I might have to go to Gen Con just to secure it. We'll have to see what happens, because like,
He's winging. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm 24 worlds points up on him, or 21 worlds points up on him, and the most world points that anyone will be able to get from Gen Con is 24. So it will come down to the community events to see. Like, ideally Midwest just gets a few seats because we have a bunch of CWEs, but I don't know if that'll actually happen. And then I might have to just show up to Gen Con to get a few Worlds points to secure my spot. But I'm going to Greece. I paid for LVO just to go to Greece, so I'm doing this.
I
will say
fucking
that.
can't wait to show up to Gen Con and fucking put you back in second place where you belong.
In the pine box.
Get back there, you son of a bitch.
Hey, if I have time to go to Gen Con, I'll show up, because at this point, I might be able to defeat the Canadian representative for Worlds, and I'd be like, what the fuck is happening? I got all the points for going to the US.
Shows up there like Switzerland in World War II. Like, I just want everybody to have fun.
I'll be that guy with the sword and bow and arrow for World War II and the bagpipes. You'll be like, what the fuck is that?
The Czech dude in the fucking suit of armor.
Yeah.
Cavalry charge on a tank.
I'll have to see like what licenses and permits I have to do to get my moose over. I need to ride around.
I think we briefly touched on it at the start of the episode, like 3.5 hours ago. Chuck is bringing City States to the Worlds event that Matt's store will be hosting, and anyone else, I wouldn't care. I'm terrified.
The Community World event.
Yeah, it was a Community World event. Yeah, there we go. The local one.
We are also tentatively talking about one for July.
That would be nice to have a couple.
We're possibly talking about a 2-day one. It really depends on how this one goes and how many people show interest. So if you're in the Midwest, you want to come play some games for world points.
People do have that really bad habit of not signing up on Longshanks until like the night before.
It's so
or
infuriating.
the morning of.
Arbor, right? That's the name of your store?
Yeah.
Like, was this June?
April.
I won't be able to make that
this
one.
Month. It's the 27th of this month.
Yeah, I will not be able to make that. Oh, hold on.
Oh, we're up to 8. Oh, Steve finally signed up.
No, I won't be able to make that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Mass. You wouldn't be.
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't want to do it anyway, Mass, because then it would put you in our region instead of Canada.
Fuck.
And then you would have to fight with my world points and Steve's world points.
No, Carl, get the fuck out of here and go to another region.
And
You need a Canada CWE somewhere.
Garrett with 2 T's. Fucking run a Calgary event with like 12 players and I'll show up. I'll make the drive. It's 13 hours.
Can't just fly up there?
It's 13 hours to get to Michigan, or not Michigan, Chicago. Did that.
Oh, it's got 13-hour drive. I did that once.
The week before Adepticon, I did end up having to drive out from Southeast Michigan to Allentown, Pennsylvania, and back in like a day and a half. Then that was exciting.
Yeah, once you
I
get
did that for. Sorry, go on.
Once you get to like that 15-hour mark, you're like, wow, this is gonna be my entire fucking day.
I mean, at some point, I just stopped caring. It's like, cool. I just shotgunned a thing of Monster Energy or Red Bull or whatever, and I took a 10-minute nap at a rest stop. So like, I'm good for the rest of the day.
It crimped our Helldivers schedule for that weekend.
I wonder what would have happened if I'd actually done practice games for Adepticon instead of just playing Helldivers and Unicorn Overlord.
Look, honestly, I'm kind of regretting it. But so there's so few good Nords players.
And then Chuck shows up and fucks you.
Yeah, I didn't practice into it, and I just didn't have that. So I'm playing Ben with City States in a couple days. So
there's really no preparing for Chuck, though.
There isn't.
You assume that your dice will roll 50% worse than they should, and his will roll 50% better than they should, and then
not only that, but then you also have to account for the fact that like you'll have fucking impassable terrain, you'll have like 3 or 4 different regiments, all in like some grand melee, and he'll find like the one spot where you can just be like, he'll just do that thing where he like puffs his cheeks out and like sticks his tongue out a little bit, and he'll just like whoop, and just eyeball it and fucking charge a monster stand with like sub-millimeter clearance on all 4 sides, just like. Look at that! By the way, that's like I made all my hits.
Yep, this motherfucker.
Some black magic bullshit.
I was just like, man, that fucking no pre-measuring Mark 1, Mark 2 War Machine Carpenter eye bullshit. Just firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, you haven't played some crazy War Machine until you play like Mark 2, Mark 1 War Machine. Man, there's times where I want to go back, but I'm also like, no. Mark 4 is not the game for me.
It's all right. Chuck's at my store, so he's just like, "You're gonna play War Machine now," and I'm like, "I guess I'm playing War Machine now."
Sure, here we go, Chuck.
I got to play Conquest. Yeah, I got. Well, yeah, he'll teach me, and the problem is that he still kind of has that like War Machine mindset where it's like, "Cool, top of turn 3, you die," and it's like,
Yep.
How
you know-
did I learn, Chuck?
I appreciate that you don't want to not sandbag against me, but at the same time, having more than like 30 minutes to like get my bearings would help me remember more of the rules of the game.
Oh dear, but like, it's really great. It's super fun that Chuck comes and plays. It's super great.
Yeah, he's great. He's a lovable rascal and trickster god, and
The one sad part of ACON for me, I think, ultimately, was that I didn't get to play Chuck this year. I missed him last year, and I missed him this year. Like, I gotta play this guy. I gotta experience this.
if you go to Gen Con, you might be able to.
Yeah.
I think that's on the docket.
Oh wait, is there some War Machine thing that he's going to be doing at Gen Con?
Oh,
He's playing both, which is why
Oh,
I might
okay.
need to come to Gen Con to play. Like, I don't. Okay, like, Gen Con last year was as expensive for me as LVO and Adepticon, which feels insane, but Gen Con is stupidly expensive.
it really
And
is.
I don't want to have to play Gen Con to secure a Worlds ticket. So,
I'll show up.
we'll see how these Far Harbors go, I guess.
Yep.
So I just have to get my little dig in. Like, Gen Con was all right. It was just 8 people, 5 of which were all the Michigan people that just played against each other. I'm not super excited by Indianapolis. I think my mean-spirited joke was that a lot of the street names were named after better states.
Ooh.
I don't know, like, it was alright, but it was just kind of like, boy, that was awfully expensive for like 3 rounds of local games.
Yeah, that was my feeling as well. Was quite disappointed.
Yeah.
It's the same distance for me to Gen Con or Far Harbor.
Oh.
Oh well, you
Yeah,
should
like,
do
it's
it.
just a roll of a dice.
Oh,
Go to both.
We'd love to have you, Brian. I promise.
I'll go over there and show Kaiser that like he needs to learn a thing or two.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, by
see
that,
if he
you're on-
watches the video.
by
You're
that
on watch,
point,
man.
by that point, he might be playing Sorcerer Kings. So
Yeah.
So I definitely
Well,
will.
because
Okay.
people are excited about Sorcerer Kings because Bloodlust isn't broken anymore.
Well, yeah. I don't want to say it's going away, but it's not becoming
it's
bad.
not it's not dog shit.
Yeah.
It doesn't make you
Yay!
lose the
It
game.
might occasionally be an inconvenience where it's like, oh, I actually wanted to do this, but it's not like, oh, I guess I just don't get to play this round.
Yeah, there was a lot of just like, oh,
And
I'm
my
going Bloodlust. It's like, cool. So what are you doing? It's like, well, I'm just doing
Well,
like,
my stuff marched off the objective, failed the charge, my pants fell down, and everyone in the store laughed at my dick. Like, what do you want from me?
yeah.
I'm crying now, Steve.
It's like, oh, free regiment, thanks.
Yeah.
Ooh, a piece of candy. Like, yeah.
Piece of candy.
Well done, guys. Karl, there's a photo of you with a great smile on your face with your 4 silver fish gnomes. Did you get Leandros and Stravos to sign all of them?
I forgot to.
Oh,
It was a
You'll
long
see them
day.
again.
Yeah.
Too busy oogling all the nice things.
What you'll have to do is you'll have to get one of those gold paint markers so that you can be like, this is just kind of
Insult to injury.
you should like use the
Well,
gold
well-
Sharpie to Sharpie in the fish gnomes to gold.
only gold I'll be seeing for a while.
Carl showing up at Parabellum headquarters like a fucking kid who's got a fistful of tickets and shit from the arcades.
So, Mass,
I'll take a gold one.
so Mass,
Oh, little boy.
for the little icon for this, it should be like a collage of like Carl faces. So it'll be like the burger pic, the fish gnome pic, the him just staring at you eating another burger. The one where he's like just looking horrified at the Brazilian steakhouse when Chuck was talking about pooping or something.
I think you should just do the 4 Horsemen meme, but then refine it, and then someone else will refine it, and then I won't have to. That seems like the best option.
I
Here, I
really
can-
got to do something with Karl Marx. There's something there. I don't know what it is yet, but there's
Where the
something there.
fuck did I put it? No, that's my miscellaneous folder.
Yep, there we go.
Yeah, no, there's a couple. There's one of me.
Wait
Scott
a
took a
minute.
photo of me taking a photo of Karl.
So why do we have the same picture twice, though?
Because it's actually slightly different. Because I took 2 photos.
Right, it's slightly different, but it's effectively the same thing. Like
It
the focus is the same.
This is I'm just going through my Adepticon photos.
Your Carl Stalker photo.
You're as bad as Brad. Brad is a practiced stalker.
Don't
Carl.
say that after the conversation earlier.
Yeah, we're about to get the police called on this guy here in a minute.
There's one. Where the fuck did I? Oh, I did on my laptop. That's why I can't. Oh no, I can get it because I posted it. I'm good. There it is.
It's like I have thousands of more screen captures of
I
various
just have
Karls.
shit everywhere. The worst part is I do editing. I do like big renders and editing on my like desktop, and then I do smaller stuff on my laptop. It's just
mass
back and forth.
trading rare Carls.
Yeah, you want?
Oh,
I got here are some of my rare Karls. What do you guys got to trade? I got the Karl trying to get first. I got some of this other stuff. What else do we got?
I don't have a rare.
These
I
are
don't have
terrible.
a
Oh my
rare-
god, fucking bad. These are horrifying.
I don't have any rare Carls, but I have that one of me and Chuck that Carl meme done.
There's
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
I was like scrolling through Facebook and Karl appeared as like a suggested friend, and I'm like, fuck it. And then I'm like looking at the photo of Karl, and it's like the most American like has 2 dogs photo ever.
He has one that his mom posted like 5 years ago of him in a Nordic shirt. It's like, this is my heritage. After it's even funnier because like not even a few months before, he's like, "Oh, the Nords are so fucking dumb." Like, this is my heritage. This is why I play Nords. And like,
Well, because we had a local who like jumps around games, and he like posted on the forum that I want to play Nords because they're my cultural heritage. I was like, okay, you twat.
It's this one. Hold on. You'll see it in the chat in a moment. There we go.
All right.
This is like the most American Karl photo ever.
Jesus Christ! God, he just had breakfast at a fucking Cracker Barrel. Look at him.
Yeah, it's like on a farm, and he's got like his 2 golden. Like, are these German shepherds? Like,
Yes, those
he
are
just got
German
his-
shepherds.
He just got his fucking cut.
when was
Oh.
this taken, Karl?
Like a year and a half ago.
It's perfect.
Oh, so like your first prom or something, whatever.
Oh
the
my
fuck.
god, I should change the dogs into silverfish gnomes and just
Oh
use
no!
Oh,
Don't
wait,
violate. No, not the dogs.
This is a
Um,
senior
dogs.
picture.
Boy,
Okay?
there's a little barn in the background, leaves everywhere. You know, Carl, if I didn't know you and and someone said, "Well, who's this guy and what's his name?" I'd be like, "That looks like a Skylar."
Sorry, you couldn't even get Chad at Skylar.
Brutal.
Oh my god! There's either a Skylar or a hyphen in his name.
We gotta stop
Holy
being
shit.
so mean to him.
I'm sorry.
Jim Bob.
Look, I can't beat him in Conquest. This is like my own like
This
recourse.
is all I have. It's just meme dunking on Karl.
Oh,
Well, I mean, honestly, one of these days, the meme like leaguer will break, and like all of us are going to end up being roasted on this, like more often than we currently are. Like Carl's day will come.
yeah. One day.
It will come.
Have you fucking seen me? I'm super easy to meme.
Oh, I think.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
you're already basically there.
Yeah,
I
you
look
are
like-
a meme. Hold on. Let
I'm
me
like if Chris Farley was a Tim Burton character. That's horrible.
go. No, I haven't.
I posted that one unlovable picture in the Adepticon chat.
Damn it, Steve!
God, I love
When
that. I
When
love
is your
that shirt.
stand-up special? I want to buy tickets.
Sold out.
God damn it!
And then I told you that at the restaurant. And Mass was like, "What? You have a stand-up special?" It's like, no, I don't.
I want to. I would go. You're funny. Where the fuck is this photo?
It's right in the Just go to the Adepticon chat.
No, I'm trying to find one.
Is there a new one that I'm not privy to?
No, you've
I
seen
said
it
no.
before. There, I posted it.
Live reaction on. Oh, yep, there we
Holy
go.
shit.
Yeah, there we go.
What about the ones I sent you, Math? What do you think?
Oh, no, those are. Maybe I should just do a collage where like they're slowly fading in and out. of like various photos. My God, I'd have to loot his Facebook and his family's Facebook, and I do not need to do that. I've already when I had to make that, well, I didn't have to, but when I made that Conquest AMV, I went through Parabellum's Facebook for like 4 fucking years because they don't post pictures on their website, and it was just like, Jesus Christ, there's a ton of shit on here, but you don't fucking make it easy.
There's a lot of really cool art there, like the 2 dragons, Umbros, and what was the other one's name?
Scylla, I think, or Skylla. All my lore books are on loan to people to try to
They're
get
not
excited
even
about
they're
the
not even
game,
mentioned in the lore book. They're just they're mentioned but not by name.
No, and that
I thought, is it on the Discord then?
Yeah,
No,
I think Stavros came in and said their names.
Oh, is that all we have to go on? It was probably during one of the happy hours.
well,
Yeah.
don't make me go. I have these dragons photos because I went through this.
It's a wonderful picture. I love it. I went and found the guy who did the painting on ArtStation, and was it a guy? I don't even fucking remember. But they got some good shit.
Okay, there you go. I posted it.
Yeah, that
the
one.
the dragon. Yeah, there we go.
That's some good shit right there.
Let me check.
That's
I would-
not on the website. Like, it's not anywhere, and it's like, what is this? It's just
No, I could have sworn it was somewhere, and I will try to find it real quick while you guys
The
talk
only time I
about
ever saw it was on
important
Facebook.
important things.
Steve,
What now?
I'm going to give you the power of life and death.
yeah.
I'm not sure like where this is going.
Post a funny picture of Karl.
I don't have them saved because I'm not weird.
You don't make folders
I-
for all your friends?
No, I don't take
Folder.
pictures of most. I don't take pictures of most things.
I forget who was texting me while we were having dinner. It was like, get a funny photo of Karl eating food. I'm like, I'm trying to eat.
I think no, that was me because that again, I don't take the pictures. I just like Brad wasn't here, so we didn't have anyone to like snipe a weird picture of Karl like eating a burger that under different circumstances could have eaten him.
I was too close. I'm like right beside him, and it's like, yeah, I'm like really get my arm around here and get a good shot. I should have just got
Oh.
pictures of the back of his head or something.
Well, I mean, with that attitude, you're not going to get a good photo.
I could have swore I had one of you in your in like a tank top, Karl, at our last event. You were like just like ready to go,
Huh.
about to beat Andrew's ass and from.
Wait, I'm going to
You know-
screenshot it out of that story.
You know, Karl, I really don't like that. I instantly was able to identify your face in this photo.
There we go. I found the one where Skillen's taking a photo of me, taking a photo of Karl of his 4 silverfish gnomes.
Yep.
Just nuts.
Anyways,
Anyways.
recursion is not ideal. Sorry, go on.
Anyway, this is what happens at Adepticon, listener. I hope you enjoy.
Steve, what do you think?
Stupid.
Oh my god!
The reason why I was silent, I was like, I'm
You
not
know
really
what?
sure if I get this beard to work.
You know what? I'm not very well versed. I'm not really artistically inclined. Let me try to doctor this and gimp a little and see what I can do.
Oh my god.
All right, don't share it anywhere else.
Yeah, no, this will be that'll be your special gift to reveal to the world at the time of your choosing.
Jesus. Alright, so, we went out for dinner to a steak place. I actually had pretty good steak.
Yes, we had a reservation for 13 people. It was a very nice time.
You know, the steak tasted nice, but for if you're selling a dry aged, New York strip, I do kind of wish that for the price they charged that they had taken off like that little gristle silver skin connective bit. Like I get that it's there to add flavor, but it's just kind of like that they probably could have like trimmed that after like cooking it, just so it's not just kind of like there.
Yeah, the little few things could have been done better.
I ate it, so
The bar is on the floor.
it's not that.
Yeah.
I mean, so I wrote down. I actually wrote a review for that Brazilian steakhouse we went to on Thursday because holy shit, like they would not stop giving me food.
Oh, it was so good. I missed that place. Is there a place
That
here?
place was good.
In how many places are there in Michigan that do that?
So I don't know about your side of the state, but I know that like in Detroit, there's Texas de Brazil. There's Fogo de Chao somewhere in like Northville, near not too far from me, about 20 minutes from me. There's a place called Gaucho. Bunch of places, but I think it was like $46 for like like 2 hours of nonstop all you can eat, just like cheese puffs and just. They went up to us. And it's like cool. Here's like 3 like 6-inch diameter pieces of steak. They just shave like a quarter of an inch off all of them. It's like, you want more? It's like just another one. It's like, now this one's getting a little blue rare, but and it's going to be cold. If you still want it, we can still cut it for you. It's like, excuse me, what? And there's like a line forming behind them of all the other guys coming with the little slivers of the meat on it. And it's like, if I slip you like 100, can you like let me just gnaw it off like a little dog or something? And like, can I like, then take a little skewer and like have a sword fight in the parking lot afterwards? Like, you guys are you're already giving me like so much shit. Like, I just felt like asking like, can you just like go whole hog and let me do that? And the one thing they would not let me do is they would not let me take home like a little sliver of meat after I'd like worked through an entire thing. But like, no, you can't do that. It's like, I didn't load up my plate. Like, I'm not trying to game the system. I just feel bad about wasting this because it's good. And they're like, no, it has to go in the trash. It's like, all right.
We're gonna make you watch while we throw it away.
Of course, the one time I talk more than any other time in this entire thing is talking about eating steak. Go figure.
It's delicious.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. I do have to say to you guys, thank you for taking Skill and I with you, because we were just like, well, we're doing dinner, and you're like, no, you eat with us now, and it's like, thank you, we have no idea what like anything is in America.
You've been adopted.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. I do appreciate
You're
it.
now honorary Americans. You're official Americans now.
We gotta get you your AR-15s.
Well, I had one guy who after we played, he had like a little like kind of good job certificate, and he like wrote down the date and my name, and I was like, okay, thank you. And it said like, it had like a JFK quote, and I'm like, what the fuck? This is weird, because I'm thinking in my head, like, I'm Canadian, like, wouldn't this be like a Canadian like prime minister quote? And then I looked up and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm in America. Yeah, they wouldn't have Canadian prime ministers. So yeah, I got that.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
well.
1812 intensifies.
Also, I'm also very sorry that you had to deal with American drivers on your way back during like apparently like a snowstorm in Minnesota or something.
Okay, so on Sunday, we attended the round table. Do you guys want to talk about that a little bit? Or
You guys
No.
definitely can. I gotta
No.
skedaddle.
I'm also soon to bounce.
all right,
Yeah,
so I'll
it
wrap
is
this up.
time to bounce, and yeah, the round table stays quiet.
Yeah, so we had like we had a round table. So that was really fun, and then Skill and I were like, it was like 3, and we were like, why don't you just go home? And he's like, yep. And so we just hopped in the truck, got all our stuff, and then we started driving. It was really good for weather until like 6 p.m. and then we hit the snowstorm, and then at that point it just like all hell broke loose. We were doing I think like 60 miles an hour. I think it's about 80k for Canadians. Just down the highway, and I was just kind of looking at it. I'm like, let's just stay the night in Minneapolis, and like we can do the rest of the drive like the next morning. At one point there was a semi driver who was he kept speeding up every time I tried to pass him. And then, like, I would slow down to let him just, like, go, and then he would slow down. It was like, okay, what the hell are you doing, dude? And then eventually I'm trying to pass him, and he just kept, like, sliding over and pushing me off of the road. And I hit a patch of snow on the road, and I, like, lost control of the vehicle, and I just took my foot off the gas and just kind of, like, fishtailed it out until I slowed down and regained control and didn't go in the ditch or anything, and then just kind of was like, okay, what the fuck, dude? You're not letting me pass, and you're forcing me off the road. Like, this guy's being a huge asshole.
As one does.
Well, you know, he was free to do that.
Yeah.
And we love our freedoms.
We love our American belligerents.
Yeah, so it was like, what the fuck?
It's our way!
After that, he kind of figured out that not to be a douchebag because he kind of almost killed like 2 people, and we just zipped by him and was like, no, I need to get away from this guy. He's just being completely unsafe. Then we just made it safely to Minneapolis, stayed the night, woke up, roads were plowed, drove safely and fine all the way home. At one point, there was like this shovel, or a snowplow, but had like didn't have a blade. It had like a tanker on the back and was kind of sideways and was doing both lanes at the same time. And it was like, okay, how is anyone supposed to get by you, dude? Like, usually the snowplows will just lift one of their sides, but this thing was like a full vehicle that just took up 2 lanes. So we got to a straightaway and the shoulder was cleared. I just zipped by him on the shoulder and he honked at me, but I was like, hey, you know what, dude? You're plowing the other shoulder and the road's basically good. Like, this is weird. Be a regular snowplow.
Just hold your goose out and he'll recognize you as a Canadian.
I should have thrown my maple syrup at him.
Yeah.
You keep maple syrup with you all the time, right?
Yeah, it's actually in a little bag around my neck.
Gotcha.
Honestly, that's a great part about living in Michigan is you get actual maple syrup and not that god awful table syrup where it's just like it's corn syrup with some flavor in it. It's like no, you get that shit away from me.
All right.
Yep.
Anything else you guys want to talk about before we all head off?
Good night.
Okay, he's asleep.
Yeah, I think we were pretty good.
It was good meeting everybody and seeing everyone again.
Oh,
Yeah.
I do have one last thing. Everybody should go to Adepticon. I don't care where the fuck you're from. You could be in the UK, Australia, everywhere. But this is a standing challenge to all of you. Come out to Adepticon. Come play us. We'd love to have you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on over. There's beers and shit.
It's a good
We
time.
will take care of you and coddle you, and then we'll punch you in the face.
I am still the national representative for Beer and Pretzels Gaming.
And then we'll give you, and then we'll kick your ass, and then we'll ply you with steak afterwards.
Exactly.
But no, thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming on. I do appreciate it.
Of course.
Okay.
Nice meeting, nice talking. Have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
Have a good night.